And we are recording.
All right. When last we left off, the wolf pack, after making their way to the elven city of Elvenon, have had quite a ridiculous 24 hours. They investigated a lost arcane facility, destroyed an eldritch abomination, learned of a cultist plot involving Demogorgon, the Prince of Beasts, left the facility and regrouped on their airship after seeing they were about to be attacked, took to the skies and engaged multiple Imperial legions in the air after determining they were heading for the Druids of the Verdant Peninsula, had a very tense and diplomatic encounter with the Torch, investigated the site of one of the Torch's attacks, and met up with the survivors of the Verdant Shield and their pseudo-leader, Loki Ironhide. You were then escorted back to the Circle of Verdants, and after name-dropping a family name, specifically the twins and their friends, were escorted to the heart of the forest, where they met a woman identical in appearance to their mother. This woman, Ilrin Silver, was their aunt, an identical twin to their mother, Terranora. There was an emotional reunion and discussion, talks of an alliance and whatnot, before the pack regrouped, repaired their ship, rechristened it the Rebel Yell in celebration of their victory, and then finally took a look at that curse that Finn was afflicted with. After some trial and error, and then eventually calling in some support with Ilrin herself, you guys were with a couple of very clutch rolls able to get the curse completely lifted off of Finn, as he was finally able to enjoy a good snack. Uh, you packed up, heading back to Elvenon, and decided to take a quick detour back to that arcane facility to see if more answers could be found now that you guys weren't pressed for time. Unfortunately, the torch had already destroyed the facility grounds, leaving it a smoldering crater with nothing but a lone man in a dark cloak standing in the crater. A landing party went to investigate using the portal mechanism from the ship, only to find none other than the Blade himself, surveying the handiwork of his supposed subordinate, the Torch. There was some light verbal sparring, some investigation checks happening as far as figuring out who some of the new faces were and just catching up a little bit and giving the sense that he knows a lot more than he was letting on. Before the Blade finally kind of came clean with why he was there, he'd come to check in on what the Torch was doing, finding out that he was doing quite a few things he wasn't supposed to be doing, and that he'd hoped to make contact with the Wolf Pack because he had an interesting proposition for them. And that's where we're going to pick up, as most of you, excluding Tez at the moment, who just woke up on the ship after nursing a hangover, the rest of you are in the middle of this crater, about 30 feet away from the portal that you had used to get into the crater itself from the ship, which is still hovering above. Uh, and the Blade is just looking at you, having talked about the issues he's been having with the Torch's activities lately, before saying, I want you to kill the Torch for me. Wolfpack, what would you like to do?
Ugh. I'm just silent.
I mean, Sima's just like off your dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he's become a problem, and as much as you guys are also kind of a problem for me, I think it would solve a couple issues having you take that pawn off the board rather than me having to go take the pawn off the board. Plus,
Well, see, I was thinking the
you get
opposite.
that like emotional catharsis thing that some of you have been wanting. I'm guessing from what he's led to believe, he has you've piqued his interest, which is very hard to do. That man has just the worst attention span when it comes to some things. But he's fixated on you guys for some reason. He's very interested. And I don't know if you necessarily want that.
Not particularly, I don't think, no.
All I'm saying is I'm willing to give you some information and even reward you for doing it. I pay fair. I pay a fair wage. How do you think I got such powerful individuals? Oh, come now.
But
You're not even the least bit interested in this?
what assurances do we have that you won't just turn around and off us after it's done?
Good point. You don't have a whole lot of assurances, but you should know this, that I don't go around needlessly killing people. I'm not the torch. All right, I'm his boss. In fact, him needless killing is the whole reason I'm here. So, right now, I don't need you guys dead. You're kind of annoying, but I'm not breaking out the fly swatter just yet. I'm willing to see if this problem will go away on its own. And I have other ways of trying to get you to leave things alone as they are. But for now, I'd much rather see if you're willing to get paid to do something you were probably already trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, we were obviously planning on killing that dude anyway, so. I don't know about the whole payment thing, but if you have information on where this torch dude stays at or some way to make it easier for us to take care of him,
Well,
I'm thinking any port in a storm.
information on how to take him out, not necessarily. He's a very hard individual to kill. Otherwise, I'd just do it myself if it were that easy. But as far as payment and things like that, you can name your price. I can give you information on where to find him, where he likes to haunt, where he's almost always found, and even how to break into a couple of those places, if you so choose to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take all that.
Any objections? And he decidedly looks at you, Tyler.
I just spit on the floor.
For what it's worth, I do actually regret killing your mother. She wasn't the target after all.
How far away is the ship from us?
The ship is a couple hundred feet in the air. You're 30 feet away from the portal that takes you right back to the ship.
Are we just like surrounded by trees or anything?
No, you're in a crater.
Yeah, so he pretty
Oh
much
right,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, the to give it some perspective on how big the crater is, the crater itself is like a couple hundred feet radius from the center point and about 30 feet down. Like this whole area looks like it got full on leveled and crushed underneath something. Like you are in a massive pit.
All right, I just gotta look around, and I'm just like, who was the target then?
Your aunt, Ilrin.
I was gonna say, that's my guess.
Poor judgment.
Well, faulty intel. They look the same. It's hard to figure. We didn't know that until we found out that the person I was actually supposed to kill was still alive and kicking. The target information we were given put Ilrin living outside of Elvenon on the immediate outskirts on a little homestead. And I was given blood and I was assured that it was Ilrin's. And then it wasn't.
Who gave it to you?
An agent who is no longer breathing because of that mistake. If it's any consolation. I don't
It's
like
not.
mistakes in my organization. Would it make you feel better if I offered to bring her back?
I just stare.
Probably.
Elaborate.
I mean, the High Confessor owes me a favor or two. Resurrection spells aren't cheap, but I'm willing to cash one in if it means you handling my problem.
I look at Taylor.
Taylor has a death grip on his bow right now, and his hand is only getting tighter. He's not aiming or anything, he's just gripping it really tight and just staring.
I mean, if that's good enough for you two, I'm in.
Oh, I mean, I was planning on giving a couple different options, but if you want to lowball and just take that, I'm happy to accept it.
I mean, personally, I'm not an assassin, so I do have like a certain moral floor.
Well, that's debatable from what I know about you.
Like I said, I didn't say it was a high floor. I just said there was one.
Higher than Anatoli's, I imagine.
Yeah.
Or higher than Anatoly's might have been. I haven't talked to him directly since his odd resurrection.
Was that not you?
Would you believe me if I said no?
I mean, yeah. I don't really have any reason not to.
I know who did it, and I'm not very pleased with how they did it, but it wasn't me. Well,
What else is
do
on the
we
table?
name your price? I'm willing to be a fair negotiator here. I won't. I have a fairly high negotiation level. Let's see what you have in mind.
How much is a resurrection worth?
Oh, actual resurrection spells given by a High Confessor himself? That would run you a couple 100,000 gold at the very least. But that's if you can even talk one of them into doing it. The High Confessor isn't known to shell those out to anyone who asks,
Oh,
especially
shit.
non-humans.
I was gonna say.
I thought you were gonna talk to him.
Oh,
He
I'm
is. That
willing.
was the
I'm
whole
absolutely
deal.
willing to. Yeah, I'm absolutely willing to. But is that all you want in exchange for him? For the torch?
No.
Then name your price.
I feel like him and I would be I'm still looking at Taylor. Him and I would be the only one really benefiting from that.
What about the whole thing with the dudes? We can't talk about because it makes my head hurt.
The thing with the dude. Oh, you mean what was going on here at this facility?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what about that?
Is
I
that
don't know.
like
I
your
don't
whole
know
deal?
exactly what. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not exactly at liberty to spill all my cards here on the table, especially since I'm not sure what side of everything you're about to land on.
I think the team not let like bad, like evil death god things loose, right?
Oh, but where's the fun in not doing any of that?
The part where your insides stay on the inside?
They don't stay on the inside for that long.
No.
Finn, roll me an insight check real quick. Actually, anyone who wants to. Anyone who wants to roll an insight in this moment, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's not one of my strong suits.
My shit's not loading, but I have a very high roll. I just forget the number.
I rolled a disadvantage because he's a little distracted.
That's fair. Fortunately, he rolled really low on his charisma check here.
I'll
Anyone
just
else roll an
add
insight?
what I know to it in a second.
Okay.
Oh.
That'll probably get her done.
Yeah.
See, that's a
Gross, do you roll from
29.
you?
Yeah, probably not right now.
Okay. Yeah, Taylor, you're fairly distracted. You don't necessarily not believe him in anything he's been saying so far, but there's something a little off in what he's talking about now. Now that he's talking about some of his plans and what may things that may lay in the future, there's just something a little off about it. Tyler, you're keyed into it though. You are. This is your forte right here. Is listening in, and this man took a lot from you, and now he's offering to undo that. And there's something just odd about it, and you realize what exactly it is. You do believe that he is 100% truthful in his offer. He would absolutely talk to the High Confessor and have your mother resurrected. He actually does regret the fact that your mother died unnecessarily. She was not the target. And it kind of makes sense in your head, too. Your mother was actually, like, well, not necessarily a prime imperial citizen. She was a good example of, like, what happens as far as integration of cultures. She married an imperial soldier. Like, that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't some kind of, like, level of compromise capable there. So he does regret killing someone like that. And he would absolutely bring her back. But hearing him talk about what's coming in the future, he's unhinged. There's something there that doesn't quite line up, and it strikes you as very not quite apathetic, but as he talks about things to come, it's just you don't think he gives a damn how things end up. Whether he's dead, whether everyone's dead, whether the world's destroyed, you don't think he cares.
Hmm. I just look at him. I go, "You don't care at all, do you?"
About what specifically?
The end of this.
Oh, it's been a while since anyone can read me that well. No, little druid. I don't care how things end in the end. I probably won't be around
And
to see how things end.
why are you a part of it, anyways?
Something to do?
I'll say, strike me as kind of cat just likes to light shit on fire.
Well, not always on fire, but
That was kind of a metaphor, but
I understand what it is. What I'm trying to say is I don't care. You're right. You picked up on that. Good for you. I don't care what happens in this world. I don't give a fuck about the Empire. I don't give a fuck about the people fighting for it. I don't give a fuck about the gods. I don't even give a fuck about Demogorgon. But I do
well,
care about doing things. This is something to do. So, if your price that you're about to name is me calling off whatever I have planned in whatever capacity, that isn't on the table. Sorry to say. So, here's my counteroffer. In exchange for you killing the torch, I'll get the High Confessor to resurrect your mother, Terranora. I will promise not to have any of my agents go after your aunt. Truth be told, she's not really that much of a priority anymore. And I'll also pay each and every one of you, including and he looks up at the ship, the two of you up there, plus 6, 7. There's a couple small ones up there. Plus any crew that you have. We'll just loop them in as well. Each and every single one of you will get 250,000 gold. In gold and gems.
Well,
I mean, I guess technically the floor can't go lower.
The floor can always go lower.
Because that's
When
a
enough weight
considerable
is
sum
put
of
on it.
money to do something we were going to do anyway.
It's a lot of money.
Well, the gold comes with a hitch, because I, of course, wouldn't offer such a sum for all of you without some kind of thing on that. In exchange, I don't want you fucking with my plans for, give it 3 months.
If we do,
Well, I'd consider that a deal reneged on, and, well,
I'll assume your mom goes back away.
yeah.
To start with.
I mean, you'd have a head start if you choose to do that. There's no saying that you couldn't find a spot and hide from me. But you'd probably have to use a good amount of that gold to make sure I didn't. So, counter offer? Or is that good enough for everyone? Or do you want to talk about it with your friends upstairs? I'm sure they might want to have some kind of input.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we probably should.
Yeah.
How long will it take you? Do you already have like all the information for us on the torch?
All he does is puts his finger to his temple and just taps it. Yes, I do.
Okay.
He goes
Alright.
and he pulls out what looks to be just a basic copper coin. Whispers something into it and then flicks it over to you guys. Not far enough that it will actually land on one of you guys or anything, but lands about 5 feet in front of whichever one of you is kind of in the lead here. Feel free to use that to get in contact with me whenever you decide if you actually want to take my deal or not. You're free not to, for the record. There's nothing keeping you, or I'm not going to force you to do something like this. And if I don't hear back from you, I'm assuming you've decided to find a different offer and do things your own way. Feel free. I won't stop you. But just know, there's no shame in compromising a little bit and taking some Imperial gold to do something for a just cause that you were already going to do. Think about it. And you watch him just straight up disappear into a puddle of shadow into the ground, and he's gone.
Well, he didn't kill us.
I'm just gonna start walking back to the portal.
Does anyone pick
Yeah.
up the coin that he flicked at you guys?
I'll pick it up.
Okay.
Like
You
real
pick up the
carefully.
coin.
Like
It has the same kind of weight. You look at it, it's not an actual like Imperial minted copper coin. It has the same kind of weight to it that your coin had before you put it into the amulet.
Yeah, I'll slip it into my pocket. Head up to the ship.
Okay. The rest of you following?
Yeah, I was already going.
Oh, so I was
Eventually,
probably
yes.
following them.
Okay. The rest of you head up through the portal back onto the ship. Tez,
Oh,
this whole time, after you woke up with your hangover and saw that Loki was still nursing his, Rulo had come by to tell you the party had gone ashore using the portal and seemed to be talking to some gentleman down in this crater where this place used to be. You've spent most of this time just on the deck, like peeking over the edge, looking down, way too far away to hear anything at this point, before watching this dude that they were talking to just kind of vanish.
Oh,
And then the party walks back through the portal and are right there on the ship next to you.
oh. Who was that? Are you okay?
Two very different questions. That was the Blade, like the big bad guy.
Oh.
And I think we're varying levels of okay.
Oh. Why
Oh,
didn't you kill him?
Good question.
Ability
Oh, I was tempted.
to?
You should have called me. I'm upset with you.
Well, if we planned on killing him, you would have been first in line. I promise.
I drank 3 pails of sour goat's milk last night and my head is pounding. I could
Jesus
have killed
Christ.
and killed and killed.
Oh,
It's a
You
lot.
shouldn't-
Where'd you get all that sour goat's milk, man?
make sure and empty your litter box immediately, because that is not going to end up well.
Jerry makes a great sour goat's milk. He makes it whenever he's low on booze.
Oh, of
And-
course.
He just kind of rubs his eyes and then he looks at you guys almost like it's the first time he's seen you.
Oh. So, what just happened?
I will explain everything that he has heard so far.
Okay. What are we going to do? You want to see your mother?
I address that to
Yeah.
Taylor and Tyler.
This is good.
Yeah,
I knew we were
don't
gonna
know if
kill
I
the
want to
dude
let him
anyway.
do what he does for 3 months.
We don't have to let him. We just go after him. He's going to try to kill us. I mean, basically, if we go after him, we're intending to like stop his plan. So, I mean, I think at that point,
I agree that we should allow him to bring your mother back, but I don't think it's a good idea to not go after him for 3 months. We should probably still do that, but we don't have to tell him.
Yeah, I mean, going after is like we have to just like set shit on fire. Like we can investigate, right? We're capable of non-violent activities. Correct?
Yeah.
I say completely unconvincingly, despite my immense abilities to lie. We're great.
Yeah, I'm
That's
just
a
gonna,
Tez is thinking. It looks like he's trying to do math problems. It's like, I don't know about that. Well, first things
ultimately,
first. Go ahead.
I was going to say, ultimately, if we're considering interrupting this whole, and I look at Finn, the side problem, it sounds like we would have to come up against the blade anyway. So
yeah.
I think the Blade knows that. He's not stupid.
Oh,
He
he just
knows that
doesn't
we'll
care.
cross paths again one day.
I think he thinks he's gonna win. I mean, I think he thinks the fucking fuse has been lit and there's nothing we can do to put it out at this point. It would have been not a 3-month offer if he wasn't very fucking convinced that he had us beat.
Do you think he's gonna wait the 3 months in order to bring my mom back and just to make sure we don't fuck shit up?
I mean, I guess we can clarify that.
yeah, something we
Yeah.
can insist on a second meeting.
We would want her back before we did anything.
Yeah, I mean, she comes back immediately. Like, preferably, like, by the time the torch is dead, that's already done. But I'm assuming he's not going to trust us to just definitely kill this dude.
At least the week after. Give it a week.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to need assurances from us, and we're going to need assurances from him. So presumably, we won't get everything even immediately right after the killing. If we do manage to kill the torch, we probably won't get all that money until we've
I don't
met our side of the bargain.
I don't give a shit about the money. I just wasn't going to argue with him about it. I mean, what do we need that much gold for?
Yeah, you said
Like, are any of us looking at fucking retirement? Like, we're not gonna. I'm like half us probably not gonna make it through whatever's coming. So I don't really need a bunch of cash. I'm just wanting to fucking stop this dude's plan, kill the fucking torch. In the opposite order.
The other thing to consider is he's this is a play for him to try and keep us to try and get us to do something. How much of his somethings do we want to do?
I mean, if his somethings
are
killing the torch, I'm pretty okay with it. But I mean, that's definitely not a given. Like, if he wants us to just run around, I mean, we're not running. Like I said, we're not assassins. Technically, he's just offering us information about how to find and take this. I mean, unless the torch is like a threat to him, but the torch is a pretty awful dude, right? He's not like a misunderstood, like he was abused as a kid situation. He's just a fucking monster. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about whether or not to kill the torch. I'm just very curious, whether we wanted to do it for our reasons or for the Blade's reasons. Not saying that they can't be the same reasons, but
Question for you both. Consider that sometimes things are meant to be. Is it possible that maybe it's not good to have your mother back? Maybe it was meant to be that she was supposed to die. I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but this is a big thing.
I sort of need time to think about that. I look at Taylor. What do you think?
Well, if that's the thing, why don't you guys use that wish ring for that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Also, Corey, are any of us, or I suppose Drost in particular, familiar with like the power or limitations of that type of magic? Like, if there are, ever any strings attached, or things that
you would know. it's very rare. Resurrection magic is one of those things. It's kind of taboo to really talk about. Um, a lot of the like ideology behind the faith in Nalarn and the Imperial Church is that when it's your time to be or to be sat in judgment for by Nalarn himself, uh, that's when you're meant to go. There are some exceptions where heroes of old were brought back to aid those in need. Typically, it's a lot. They're sorting through some of the Imperial propaganda tied to it. You know that there are instances where resurrection magic is available to those who can pay enough and talk their way into a high level cleric doing such magics. Typically, there aren't a lot of strings attached to that. The target comes back fairly weak whenever they come back. Depending on what spell is being cast, it might not be able to bring them back if they've been dead for a long time. Um, if there are ways of tying strings to such a thing, you're not familiar enough with necromancy and
Sure.
resurrection magic to know, you wouldn't put it past them. I mean, there's a lot of things that are possible with magic. You're very well aware of that. Um, Nothing coming to mind at the moment. You'd have to study a lot more in that, or find some kind of source of having more information about that.
Um, it didn't sound like there was a time limit on his offer. Like, do we want to just kind of try and do this over while we follow up on some of our other options, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe we can research, uh, you know, I don't know.
Research sounds boring.
I mean, yeah. I mean, most of our stuff though, we just had like possible plans. Like this is like seems like legit info on how to take out the torch.
I think the question is morally, what do we do? Do we want to hitch our wagon to him? If we do, we're almost giving in and saying, here you go, bad guy, we'll do your dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
If we do it on our own, we just have to accept that Taylor and Tyler's mother may never come back. But then the question raised is she supposed to be back?
Or do we use the wish ring and bring her back? Take
Or we
the
use-
dude's info on the torch, wish their mom back alive, and then he doesn't have to give us shit, and then we just continue on.
I like it. Let's hoodwink him. He deserves it. And then we'll kill the torch.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're technically just take his information and we just decline his offer of reward after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
From the boat deck, I'm going to look down to the crater that we were just standing in, and like kill this guy, huh?
Well, yeah, I think that's what like he said he had some like weaknesses, right, or something. And he said he had the dirt on him, right, like where he stays, like how we can kill
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
Like
and
magical
the
shit that's
information he's kind
resistant
of
to fire.
Yeah, the information he was kind of alluding to was not necessarily any resistances or anything like that. He implied that the torch would, no matter what, he was going to be a challenge to take out. That's why he didn't just do it himself. It was going to be something he'd have to actually put effort into, and he didn't necessarily want to do that when he can just kill two birds with you guys. Um, he did imply that what he was going to be giving was mostly information on where to find the torch, uh, like where and when he would probably be, and ways to get into those places.
Yeah, I mean, give us like the advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of you guys have been
Yeah, I
in
mean, the
most
killing him
places. You
part's
know
gonna
that
have to be us.
basic info like that automatically gives you the home field advantage of being able to set up an ambush or something.
Mhm.
Finding one of the torch's hiding holes before he's gotten back there, and then you guys laying in wait, 100% sets him on the disadvantage for things. So, and the Blade's aware of that. The Blade, you guys, I mean, your interactions with him, the reputation he has, he knows that is more than enough that you guys probably need, since he can't really offer a whole lot in terms of like specific weaknesses or anything like that.
Yep. We'll just figure out where to fucking ambush him, and if we can find, like, we can find some magical shit that's like fire resistant. Maybe
Yeah,
the
I'm sure we could.
voiceless, like, magic crew has something.
I think
Maybe
we
they can
should
The
take
ask
the
them.
circle might
offer.
be able to help as well.
Yep. Because I'm assuming resistance to fire is probably going to be helpful against that dude.
I mean, actually, I'd be able to do that for a body. Maybe not a weapon, but
For the record, Drost, that word he just used, the voiceless, I don't know. I think that might be one of the first times Drost has heard that being
Yeah,
referenced.
probably.
I don't think it's come up in conversation since meeting him.
So who's the voiceless, and what kind of magic stuff do they have?
Or should this be like super cop? Or like an investigator?
Not really
Have you ever
investigator, but
yeah, the voiceless, the whole like rebellion thing that run around doing stuff like fomenting unrest in all these northern towns to rebel from the empire.
so the people you're working for.
Yeah,
We've been fomenting.
doing our best.
Sure. So what kind of so you're saying they might be able to set us up with equipment, stuff like that for
Yeah, I mean they found us like magic stuff a little bit ago, right? Like I got this ring, which is awesome, but I wish now I'd gotten a ring of fire resistance because that would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, you guys saw the foundries and everything underneath Krellaria proper. They have a whole like manufactory going on for arcane enchantments and items and things like that. Nothing like artifact level power, but basic like resistance enchantments and things like that. Like they're more than capable of doing, given them some time and resources.
I say
They're
we
essentially trying to
fucking
equip an entire army so that they can fight the Empire. So they've kind of had that was one of the first things they got their shit together for.
yeah. Something tells me killing the torch is going to bump us up to the front of the fucking priority list.
So, having had this discussion, kind of figuring out what your next move is, the ship is still hovering in midair, a couple 100 feet above this crater. Do you guys continue on your journey? What are you guys doing? Any new change of plans?
I think we should
Well,
take the offer.
yeah, I mean, I guess if we're gonna take it, we head straight back to fucking Honeycomb Hideout and get him on some magic shit, right?
I mean, yeah.
All
was
right.
there anything else we were um as we left Elvenon was where we were heading out to the
Yeah, we had a couple
to
irons in the
what?
fire, but I think
I'm not saying they take priority, but
yeah,
we're in this
yeah, we're
neck
supposed
of
to
the
meet
woods.
with
Is
that.
there anything?
We're supposed to meet with that like street gang. I think.
Street gang.
Oh yeah, the
Red Blossoms.
red
Yep.
blossoms.
But that was kind of a loose offer of meeting.
Yeah, were we gonna talk to, was that Imrian guy someone we were gonna talk to try and, so we were basically just gonna go back there to set things in motion to
Yeah, because he was the guy that
have
used to own the.
Elvenon.
He's the guy that used to own the facility that
Right.
is now a crater, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, the plan was to like kick the Empire out of there and like give that to him as a present. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we hooked you up. Now let's start fucking unrest. And same thing with the Blossoms. We were just gonna do the same shit, have them stir up trouble. They probably didn't like the Empire, so coordinate some of that stuff, make it a little hostile towards the Empire in town, and then get them to flip and join with Yord and the loose alliance of northern states rebelling from the Empire.
Yeah, I'm cool going wherever. If we're gonna,
Who wants to call this dude back?
Not me.
Hold the
You
coin
do
out.
it. You do it, Finn.
Fine.
Before we call him,
Yep.
what if we got some of the money from him as like a down payment for this as well, so that we could actually use that to purchase any fire protection that we could benefit from for this fight? Do you guys think that would be a decent idea or something he might be willing to do?
I'm sure he'd
worth
do it.
asking.
I just know where on the I don't know, on the principle of the thing. Yeah, we can just ask him for money up front. It's up to you.
Yeah, deposit.
All right. What do you think? Like 100,000?
1 million.
Right. I guess like a million's a lot, but that's like what 4 of us are getting at the end of this.
Oh,
Well, he said 250,000 a piece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
250,000 per person, and then something a little less so for your guys' crew.
For the help.
But yeah, but still a chunk of change for them as well.
Okay, so I'd ask him for half of my payment up front. If you all want to ask for the same, you're welcome to, but we wouldn't have to. But if I get half, that's 125,000 gold that we could use to play with for purchasing anything that we would need. I think that would cover all of us, honestly, unless you guys think we would need more, because I don't know.
I would assume if we got that much, we'd just take it to the voiceless and just give it all to them. Be like, give us all the shit we need, and you can have all this
Right.
money.
Yeah.
Are we kind of back to the whole moral quandary
could
of
we tell them where the
actually
money
taking
came
this guy's
from?
money?
Yeah. They may not like that.
I don't know.
Or we can
Mine
just
doesn't have
keep
any
it
owners,
to
just
ourselves.
spenders.
We'll tell them I found it last night. Jerry found it. Jerry
Dude,
found it when he
we
was walking
Dude, we
around.
fly around kicking ass all the time. We fucking probably loot a shitload of stuff from the
That
people whose
money-
asses we kick.
That
Oh.
money would greatly benefit the rebellion.
Jerry
yeah.
does officially
Yeah,
fight
putting
the
Imperial
Dragon.
money
We
against
could
the
say I
Imperials,
want
I feel like Dad would be really happy about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I'm doing with anything that I have left over.
Yep.
I ain't keeping it. I ain't keeping a damn copper of that shit of his.
125K for equipment and the information. That's what we're going with.
I can agree with that.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. So you have this coin.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? What are you doing to try and interact with it? He didn't give you instructions, for the record.
Just gonna hold it like, hello. Tap on it. This thing on.
Oh well, that was
Hold it up.
quick.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're gonna do the shit anyway. So yeah, we'll do it. Info and we need some of that cash up front for purchase of equipment.
How much are we talking?
Like 100K, 125K.
Half of what you were going to pay me.
Yeah, like half of one person's cut.
Go ahead and roll me a persuasion check, because that is a chunk of change.
I have my hat on. Does that help?
I'll say you get a +2 bonus to it right now. The advantage, it's more muted when you're just doing it through like voice, and they can't see the hat.
Okay.
So
That makes sense.
add a +2 to whatever you roll here.
There you go.
21. It's doable. 125,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll take me a little bit, but I recommend keeping the coin in an open spot. I don't think you'll want that amount of gold magically appearing in your pocket.
Okay.
So,
Will you
give me a
like give
couple
us?
of hours to wrap up here, and I'll send you the gold along with the information you'll probably need.
Oh, you'll know we're finished when he's dead.
Oh, I'm getting excited.
Bold promise. Let's see if you can keep it up, Storm Raven. And you feel whatever connection to the coin ending in that moment.
We'll pack out. I'll drop the coin.
Okay, you're just leaving it on the deck there, or where do you...
Yeah, I'll just like grab some rope and like make a big circle around it and like mark it with some shit and just tell everybody like, don't come here.
125,000
Rulo,
gold is a lot of gold.
Rulo, your dwarf bosun up at the helm at the moment, is just kind of looking at you guys doing that, like, Captain, is there any reason you're doing that?
Yeah, like the head of the Empire who's starting like some intergalactic monster attack is paying us a bunch of money to kill the torch, and he's gonna magically teleport it through that coin. So I made a big circle around it, so when all that money chucks out of it, nobody gets hurt.
You can literally see the gears in Rulo's brain kind of click and get stuck as he's trying to process everything you just threw at him. Captain, if I might make a suggestion.
Yep.
We have barrels down below that would be big enough for such a haul.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll
You
work
want to
too.
just throw the coin in there and you can check on it later. That way, a giant mountain of coin isn't magically appearing on the deck and, causing issues there.
Yeah, I mean, if you got barrels big enough, by all means.
We could make a few work, yeah.
All right, well, I trust you to handle it.
Okay, is the coin gonna do anything if I touch it?
I don't think so, but like, don't maybe put it close to your business.
I mean,
He literally just pulls out like a dagger and flips it up onto the dagger and just walks it down in the hole.
Probably safe.
And about a minute later, you hear the sounds of like a barrel being ripped open and attached to make a very elongated barrel. He comes back up later. He's like, "Okay, it's in a very, very big barrel, so
Perfect.
should be able to hold everything."
I don't know how much 125,000 in gold.
I don't think I've
Looks
ever
like.
heard of that amount of coin. That's a
It's an
lot.
insane amount of money.
Like, I can't fathom how much that is.
and
I
what's-
didn't honestly think you'd say yes.
and if we complete this, we're going to get a lot more than that, honestly.
Rulo's brain just kind of breaks for a second. He's like, I'm going to go back to steering the ship while I try to figure out what that amount of money can even be used for.
Whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, set a course for the voiceless base.
Oh, heading back to Coralia. All right.
Take the long way because I don't want to go close to there with the coin.
Was just about to ask that because we'd have to either cross over or go around Elvenon. So, one moment here. Do you want us to go like all the way around, staying in the Redwood, or would you mind crossing over part of the Verdant Bay?
I'm fine with the bay.
Yep.
Bay it is. He activates the enchantments again, and the ship starts moving once more. Going more. You guys were originally heading kind of in a southwest departure, heading straight for Elvenon, and eventually would have probably docked somewhere out in the water to walk into the city. But he hard cuts it starting west and then heading northwest a little bit just to fix your guys' heading. So you guys are just a little bit north of where the word Elvenon is on the map. Before crossing over the bay, seeing the city glittering in the distance as the sun is now passing noon, and you guys continue heading west. Dros, this is probably the closest you've been yet to the Blackrise Mountains, seeing these massive spires of stone and rock with lots of reds, browns, and black hues of the stone. Just, you guys are still pretty high up in the airship. The peaks themselves keep going higher than what you can currently see.
Wow.
But you guys continue just heading west, eventually a little detour south so that you're not clipping the ship in the actual mountain peaks themselves. Just heading straight for Krillaria, no stops.
Has the money appeared
Sounds
yet?
like it.
After a couple of hours of travel, if you guys aren't stopping for anything, uh, Finn, are you piloting the ship, or do you want Rulo to keep piloting it?
I'll probably be watching the coin until the money appears.
Okay.
So I'll just let Rulo do it.
Rulo is going to make a quick check here. Okay, with a +6 to his stuff. You're watching the coin, and the coin is literally sitting in this giant. It's not a widened barrel. Like, the barrel is a normal barrel size, but what they did was they knocked out the bottom of another barrel and attached it to the top to essentially create a double stacked barrel that's just one thing. And as you're just kind of waiting to see if the coin eventually appears in it, you told them you were in around noonish. By the time like 3-4 o'clock hits, the ship dips a noticeable 6 to 7 feet in air all at once, as the weight of 125,000 gold magically appears on the ship. But thankfully, due to Rulo's dexterous handling of the ship, none of you have to roll dexterity saving throws. You stumble, but you do not you don't risk actually falling on your ass when this happens. Rulo does immediately call out, "Captain, are we all right down there?"
Yeah, we just got paid.
What was that?
So that's what 125,000 gold weighs.
Yes, sir.
You go and you peek into the top part of the barrel, and it is chock filled to the brim with gold coins spattering in various gems of different sizes and cuts. But there at the very top is the copper coin.
I'll pick that up.
Okay, put it back in your pocket.
Yeah. What about the info?
As soon as you put the coin in your pocket, you then you put it in there and you pat it, and then for a second it throws you off because now there's something new in your pocket as well. And you pull it out, and it's a couple scrolls that are all tied very tightly.
Oh, it's like nerd stuff, Dros. That's you.
All right, I'll take a look.
All right. So it's not necessarily written out to give you information. It's very rough drawn maps with marks and some times. From what you gather, actually, I'm going to have you. I don't know if there's a good cartography skill, so we might just use intelligence for this. But let me see here. Yeah, go ahead and make me an intelligence check, please, Drost.
Okay.
And you have enough time to guide yourself if you want.
Yeah, I'd do that.
All right. Okay, 18. Flat dirty 20. Okay. So you're able to pick up the maps are relatively sparse. There's no real geographic features, anything like that added other than basic cities. So you can see if you're watching on the big map, one spot is marked right there, a little ways off from Yord, kind of in between Yord and Elvenon. With some writing underneath it that says sleeps here every once in a while. There is a spot outside of Port Oman over in the forests over there. Middle of the week check-ins with Imperial agents here. And then down, way, way down in Oasis itself. There's some information stating that his main domicile and where he will retreat to if he's not in the middle of an engagement, like any kind of offensive or anything like that, he will retreat every night back to is it written the exact name? Sorry, but I had it right here. I didn't. The Torre Infierna, a massive sandstone tower in the middle of Oasis that nobody can go into other than the torch somehow. Underneath each of these spots that he's marked, for the one up near Yord, he has it marked hidden cave will use detect magic. You'll spot it a mile away. Be sure to dispel traps. He will have plenty. For the spot outside of Port Oman, he has it marked down. Fortified bunker established by Imperial legions. Will have multiple men there, but less magical protection as a result. And then for the Torre Infierna, we'll probably have to fly to get in there. No ground entrances or anything like that. No underground access of any kind. Multiple magical traps, as he's had years to protect this place. It is his home. Good luck.
Okay, do I have any idea like how far like distance wise it is from like way up to the north to down by Oasis? Is it like hundreds of miles? Is it
Oh yeah, like hundreds, if not approaching 1,000 miles. The trip from Oasis up to Elvenon by foot would take you the better part of a month to make it.
sure? So he's almost certainly teleporting.
Almost certainly. If he's
That's
making it back to if he's making it back to Oasis every night, you know for a fact he's teleporting. You've seen him fly. He's pretty fast. He's not that fast.
Right.
Like if he was doing it just pure that almost like screaming fast flight that you saw him doing, even then doing the math in your head with that dirty 20, that's still like a 2 to 3 hour commute every day one way.
Yeah.
So if he's actively doing stuff in the area, he's either teleporting there or he's staying at one of these other places that's a little bit closer that he can make it there,
Sure.
within a decent amount of time.
Yeah, well, I'd look at Finn and be like, all right, well, it looks like he at least came through with the information too. But like you said, there's really just times and ways in, not any information on himself.
Yeah.
Maybe talk to the rest of the group about where to go from or how to figure this stuff out, when to attack.
Yep.
Drost, real quick. One other thing you notice as you're kind of packing those papers away, the back of one of the maps on there, you can barely see it because it's written in a very, very faint ink. But you recognize what looks to be an arcane glyph, and then some writing underneath it that says watch on or activate on own caution.
I'm not gonna activate it right now, but I for sure will when I'm in a like by myself or not, on a airship that could kill lots of people.
Yeah, I was about to say,
By
maybe
bad
not on the
things.
ship.
Go ahead and roll me an Arcana check real quick, just for the sake of doing it.
Sure.
23. You're confident that that glyph is not evocation, transmutation, or necromancy, anything like that. You're actually pretty confident it's an illusion glyph. So whatever spell is wrought into this, it's definitely an illusion spell.
Does it look like something that would be like a one-time use? Would I have any idea of knowing any of that, or
No, this looks like
Okay.
it's more. You could use it more than once. At least more than once. You'd have to. Actually, no. 23 is pretty freaking good. It's pretty well inscribed in there. You think this is fairly like a minor spell. Nothing that was too hard for however strong the blade is to work it into this to be a permanent enchantment. So more than likely, it's not
Is it
anything major. Like it's not gonna, summon like an illusory dragon or anything like
sure?
that. But uh, it's not. It's something that's light enough, heavy enough that required permanent inscription, light enough that it was able to be permanently inscribed pretty easily.
All right. It says activate on
Sorry, activate at own risk.
at
So
own risk. Yeah, I'm still gonna wait until we
okay,
dock.
all right. Anything else? Is anyone doing anything in particular or during this travel time? Anything anyone wants to get accomplished?
I do. The first night, I'm going to send an animal messenger, and I'll send you what the animal messenger says.
Okay.
I'm still working it out.
For the record,
Oh,
you
I'm
guys are
sending
going
it
to
to my
make
aunt.
Okay, you are sending it to your aunt. For the record, you guys are going to make it to Krillaria by end of day. It'll be nighttime when you
Okay.
guys get there, but you will like make it there before you have another long rest. So
Cool. That works.
if that changes at whatever anyone's planning. So yeah, if you want to send me what you're sending to your aunt via animal messenger. Anyone else trying to
Probably.
do anything?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Nothing I can think of.
Okay.
I'm gonna
She
I'm
you send
gonna
off an animal messenger, Tyler, and you'll have to wait to see if you get a response.
Yeah.
Drost, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I'm going to yeah, no problem. I'm gonna use I don't have the sending spell prepared right now,
Mhm.
but I'm going to use the memorized spell ritual to swap that out for I don't know, one of my other spells, hypnotic pattern or something like that. And I'm going to send I'm gonna ask if anyone wants to, send any messages. But I'm gonna send a message to the I'll never remember the NPC's name, but the it was like a clerk or a person I spoke to in the exchange, right? The intelligence agency.
Yeah, there was a desk clerk that you worked with. 1 second here.
I think it was like, just some middle management lady or something like that. I'm going to send a message to them uh, asking. Oh, yeah, there's some
Mr. Slera
restrictions on
was
it.
her name, deputy station
Okay.
chief for the exchange.
Yeah, Mistress there. So I'm going to send her like a brief message about if she knows anything about um, if they have any information about those three locations, and um, we had a little conversation with I had a conversation with her about the torch, didn't I? It didn't pan
Uh,
out to anything.
yeah. So when you were looking into the torch initially, she told you that there were mentions of him in some stuff, like official reports, but a lot of the reports kind of went out of their way to not mention him in anything that had happened. So there were a lot of things like casualty lists of like people dying to fire and things like that, and then no one ever following up on what caused the fire. And that kind of after they got the few initial reports of this individual wreathed in flame visiting some of these places, The exchange kind of put two and two together and then realized that the Empire, like some faction of the Empire, was covering it up and preventing that info from getting out. So they weren't able to get a whole lot more at the risk of being, labeled traitors.
Sure. Yeah, and they're just intelligence. They're not like action.
Yeah, they're the equivalent of the Freedom of Information Act in this world. Anything they can get out of the government and distribute widely, they absolutely will. However, that it's limited to things that the government wants to give them.
Mm-hmm. And I might even if this has to take multiple castings, I'll also send that I might have some information regarding some of the like. I don't think I would use the specific verbiage, but like alluding to the Demogorgon and the cult and stuff like that. That might be good information to have in. I don't know. I would try to leverage this in a way of like, if I can either like become a member of the exchange or somehow like get access to like, higher level intelligence or anything like that.
Fair enough. Yeah, to get everything, it would take a couple castings. I'd say probably 3 to 4, depending on how much of the Demogorgon stuff you're wanting to give to her.
I would be pretty brief about that, but
Okay.
make it clear that it's valuable.
Yeah, and she agrees with that. She recognizes its value. As far as information that you get back, you don't get anything back on the Demogorgon and cult stuff. It's more of a like you're giving that to them. She doesn't really have anything to offer up in exchange to that. About the locations, she has nothing listed for the one up in the mountains. No record of anything like that, which, based on what the blade gave you, that kind of tracks. It seems like that's more of a like rat hole that the torch set up. The location over near Port Oman. At the mention of Imperial soldiers, she mentions that Fort Ardent Hope is state. It's a very like heavily enforced Imperial Legion station outside of Port Oman. That's on the island there, on the main road between Port Oman and Elvenon. So, which makes sense. Port Oman is the kind of like northwards most, at least on the east coast side, like Imperial port. So it's a very like Imperial naval station there, and then they need a Imperial Legion station kind of nearby as well, just to back them up. So that checks out. That would be possibly the location. The Torre and Fierna. She does have a little bit of information on that. The Torre or the tower itself, it predates the founding of the Empire. It was there long before the Empire was founded, and the city of Oasis was actually settled around the tower into the kind of lake there in the Silk Sand Desert. And it used to be the home of an ancient red dragon.
Okay.
Specifically,
Oh,
where
Ooh.
is? Yep. It was the rumored home of Tor'dorei, the Eternal Inferno.
Oh God.
An ancient
Great.
red dragon that was rumored to have fought numerous others for territory in the region before eventually being killed, notably by an ancient silver dragon that the name of which is lost to time. They do not know the name of the silver dragon that killed it. But Tor'dorei was slain. The tower was left abandoned up until about 30-ish years ago, when some mage of unknown origin took up residence there. And ever since then, legends about the tower have abounded. There's plenty of people saying that those who are born or conceived within the shadow of the tower will be born with magical capabilities. There's rumors that anyone who touches the tower for too long will like walk away having draconic powers and scales on the back of their hands, and a lot of typical peasant nonsense. Nothing that's ever been corroborated fully or anything like that. The exchange does know, because the exchange does have a station down in Oasis. The exchange is aware that it is a site of magical power, but because they can't actually get into the tower, they aren't able to go any further. And the few attempts to climb the tower have gone very poorly. There's some kind of enchantment that forces people down to the point of where the Empire has basically said nobody's allowed in there, government property, fuck off.
Okay, so yeah, that's like multiple spells. I would have
Yeah.
like as she was like relaying that stuff, and I would keep initiating the sending to let her respond. I would not.
And she followed up with some of this. Like, you're not bearing the full burden of this. I'm going to say it's going to burn all of your third levels to do this.
Yeah.
But
I would have.
she has the sending spell herself and does send a couple to you to continue this conversation as well.
Yeah. Okay. So just so I was keeping up, it sounded like they're certain that the Tordarok dragon was slain, or that's just
that
the
was.
information they
This
have.
is all like pre-imperial history, but yes, Tordarok, the Eternal Inferno, was slain by what was rumored to be his arch nemesis, which was another ancient silver dragon, whose name has been lost to time. They do not know the name of that dragon, but all reports that have survived from the pre-imperial era have said that Tordarok was definitively slain in the skies above his tower.
Okay. So yeah, so the rest of the group, I don't know, was it just me and Finn, or was it? I mean, I'm assuming it's. Well, no, it would have taken me a while, so I would have probably.
Yeah, I would assume you kind of peeled off at this point to like at least do those sending spells, but the basic information of where the locations were, Finn had that and now that you've done that, you're able to regroup with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would, gather everyone up and pass the majority of that on. I'll tell the group that there's this glyph on the back of the maps, but we better wait to check it out until later. And that it probably assaulting the lair of a ancient red dragon might be out of the cards, but whatever you guys are up for.
Lair. It's just a former lair. Yeah, it's a wizard's tower. It's just a wizard's tower with a cool story behind it.
Right.
That whole thing about not going after a wizard in their own house.
Which ironically is literally all of the plans you were working on right now. It's just depending on which house do you want to go for. The one that has guests,
exactly.
The one that's hidden, or the one that definitely is obvious to get to.
My vote is Portamon.
I feel like even if we're able to dismantle a lot of his traps, still fighting him on his turf sounds a little bit like we're asking for it. I mean, I get we would be potentially being able to ambush him, but anyway, yeah, that would probably take a fair bit out of me, and I would maybe fuck around with the arcane engine a little bit while we're traveling.
All right. After all of that, and the group regrouping, talking about everything, towards the end of the day, as the sun eventually disappears over the western skies, starts getting a little darker out, but pretty easily you're able to find. Rulo is actually fairly adept at flying the ship himself, and more importantly, he knows exactly where this thing needs to be parked to not cause a giant scene with the voiceless themselves. That was part of his specific instruction that he was given. So he's able to park it. It's perched up in the mountains a little bit, hidden from obvious view from any site, but he's able to activate the portal and stick you guys right at the entrance, the service entrance to Kurlaria proper. Does
This you
anyone-
guys' base?
Yeah, Trost, to you, as you're kind of looking around, all you're seeing is just mountains and foothills around, like the redwood forest and stuff, and some trees off in the distance. Nothing obvious to the spot at the moment.
Yeah, we're getting there.
You're still cool with all this, right? Do you like put a hood over your head or something?
I don't know. Is that your initiation ritual?
I mean, like if never mind.
No, I think you're all right. Finn didn't need a hood on him. Although he might have wore one, I don't remember.
Jogging your guys' memories, you guys kind of found found the entrance and BS'd your way through a puzzle to open up the door after most of you got poisoned in some fashion. Fought
Yeah.
off a couple of water elemental security guards, and then got ambushed as soon as you walked out of a cave. So, yeah, you guys didn't exactly come in diplomatically the very first time. So, but you are aware of the secret knock to actually get someone to answer the service entrance. So, unless anyone, are you guys bringing the gold with you? Or are you leaving it on the ship for the moment?
I mean, I'm assuming it's unwieldy heavy.
Yes. It would take like 3 teses to move it.
So I would assume we're gonna leave it on the ship.
There's only one of me.
Jerry chimes in. I can help.
Very strong too.
Yeah.
Probably more than 500 pounds, but I can carry that much on a floating disc.
Oh, I bet we get a couple people with some floating discs and just float the whole thing out, right?
That is an option. Magical dolly system.
Let's just tell them we got a shitload of money and they can help us get it out of the boat.
Okay. You guys head down through the portal and arrive outside of the service entrance. One of you does the secret knock at the specific shading of rock that just looks ever so slightly off color. And eventually someone pops the rock open. Drost, you see this giant rock wall just kind of slide over and open as a door before a half-elf individual sticks his head out. Oh, hey, you guys are back. That's cool. New phase, is he chill?
Yep.
So far.
I just shrug.
Cool. Your dad will probably want to see you. It's been busy, but welcome back.
Thanks.
And
Just an
you
old
guys,
family affair, huh?
Yeah, we didn't really know for a little while.
I don't think you mentioned that your dad's in charge of it.
I did not. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Uh, you guys make your way through the kind of snaking tunnels, and eventually open up into this open kind of underground mountain area. If I can find the description, I can give it to Drost because it's very pretty, I imagine. So what you see is this massive, mountain cavern. Up at the very top, there's the barest hint of light coming in from what looks to be an open top mountain. Uh, because of where the sun is right now, only the barest amount of it that's coming in. So most of the cavern's actually lit by bioluminescent fungi. But you see hundreds of tents scattered throughout this whole area. It looks part army camp and part refugee settlement. There's definitely some hollowed out little areas along the walls where people have made kind of like cave settlements, like put up their own doors and things like that to try and make, separate themselves from everything. But there's a lot of people here and almost entirely non-human. Everything from elves, gnomes, dwarves, tieflings, those with some kind of mixed heritage, a few orcs and half-orcs, other more exotic non-human races and things like that. Pretty much everything you can imagine that the Empire would want to squash, you see someone walking around and just kind of embodying that. So, but the party continues walking through. There's a couple of guards just kind of wearing nondescript and not really matching leather armor and bows and swords and things. That just kind of nod. They kind of give you a bit of a look, Dros, as you walk with the group, but they don't seem to pay too much attention. You're in good company, so they're not going to push the issue. It's not their job.
I just wave obliviously.
But you guys continue, and I'm guessing, are you guys heading to Torol, or where are you guys heading?
Yeah. I mean, I think Toral's the one we want to talk to.
Okay. You head for the heart of the camp then, heading to the very familiar at this point command tent of Torol Redfire, your father. You can see he's not in the middle of any important meetings or anything. He's just kind of looking over some reports at his map table. A couple of assistants nearby just helping, like organizing things like that. He sees all of you walk in. Oh, wasn't expecting you back so soon. Hey. Uh, he notices Dross in the back. New friend, I'm guessing?
Yep. Picked him up.
Well, can't say I don't mind having another human around here. Torol Redfire, former Imperial Ranger and commander of the Voiceless. My kids are vouching for you. You've got my boat. So, and he holds out his hand to shake.
Nice to meet you. My name's Drost.
Drost, good to meet you. Looking at, I'm guessing, former Imperial? Like,
Yeah.
Riverland's born?
Yeah.
We used to see a lot of recruits from lower families up north, so you can usually spot them. I mean, welcome to Krularia. I know it's not too much to shake a stick at, but it's home for the moment. So,
Looks pretty great.
oh, that's being kind. So you guys are back. How did everything in Elvedon go? Do we have another issue there? Do we need to send cleanup crew?
Clean up
No.
crew. And I just side eye everybody else.
No cleanup crew this time, thankfully. At least, not that we caused. So.
Oh, well, what's happened in the city? Were you able to get any like official word from like is the city in rebellion or anything like that?
Not exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, we spent some time in the city, but we spent a lot of time the past. I don't know. She looks at the sky, I guess, like outside the tent, like day and a half. Uh, I guess researching. There's a lot of shit happening behind the scenes that involves like innocent souls. She kind of like squints her eye, thinking. I'm not the best to describe that.
I will tell them about being careful to avoid particular language in earshot for Finn. Tell them about the Demogorgon and the setup with the hunger.
so as soon as you start diving into some of these arcane and eldritch concepts and what's been going on, what was happening at the facility, he immediately holds up a hand. He's like, "Hold on, 1 second, real quick." Picks up a rock from his map table, uh, just kind of holds his thumb to it, and then whispers, Avandre, I don't know if you're busy or not, but can you come over to my tent? The kids and the wolf pack are back, and you're going to want to hear this one. And shortly, like a couple seconds after he lifts his thumb off of it, a voice emits from the rock. Will do. Be there shortly. And he just kind of like awkwardly, he has a like awkward stare of like just, I know, 1 second, sorry. My my overseer of mystics is going to want to hear this with everything going on. And as soon as he finishes that statement, there is a poof of blue and silver and yellow dust, and in a in his typical blue shapelet, or in their typical blue shapeless robe is this very androgynous looking, almost half elf featured person. Uh, like very soft features. It's really hard to tell male or female. No real body shape to them. Almost ageless in appearance. With slicked back black hair as well. As the familiar face of Andre, the overseer of mystics for most of you, appears. Oh, welcome back, Wolfpack. I'm so glad to have you back. Oh, a new face. You know what that means. And they immediately pull out from just seemingly nowhere, like literally slap their hands together, pull them apart, and there's now a book with a quill in it. As they open up the book, can I get you to write your name for me, please? I'm very, very bad with remembering things unless they're written in the book.
Um, did we talk about a book with names?
There hasn't been any mention of a book with names or anything like that yet.
Oh, I thought I don't know. I felt like we had a conversation about a.
There was a
Anyway.
discussion about the book of, or the Good Night book that you had.
Oh,
Yeah, you wrote a question into that you haven't gotten the answer back yet, but
yeah, that's right. I'll just put my name in it.
okay. It's open to a page where you see the rest of the party has written their names as well. Tez's is in a slightly bigger font and looks like it's not so much a signature as him trying not to squish the quill in his fingers.
Good penmanship.
But you write. Do you write your full name or do you just write your first name, Drost, on there?
I'm just gonna write Drost.
Okay. They flip the book back around, close it, and immediately it disappears and shrinks into nothing. Good to meet you, Drost. My name is Avandre, Onomancer Supreme. How can I help you all?
I'll look at the rest of the group. I was like, we telling them everything?
Yeah.
Oh, there's things to tell, is there? Oh, I do love a good story. And they immediately pull up a chair and just kind of sit. And Toral's immediately just kind of sitting there like used to the theatrics that Avandre puts on, but it's very much a like I wish that we could speed run this a little bit. Like, come on. Sorry for the interruption. Avandre is very well versed in things of this nature. He's my arcane advisor. So, if you could please go ahead and start with the discussion you were having about this cult of Demogorgon. And you see Avandre immediately perks up. Cult of Demogorgon, you say? Please do go on.
Yeah, I guess they were trying to like summon, the prince through
Oh,
by.
damn it.
Oh yeah, sorry, Finn.
Oh, we're going to unpack that, what that was later. I'm very interested in knowing what just happened there.
Like, he's got an issue with his patron doesn't like hearing that.
Interesting. Very interesting. Do you tell them everything that you guys kind of discovered there?
Yeah.
Let me rephrase. Is there anything in particular you hide or try to hide from them?
I'm horrible at lying, even by omission. So I would just basically, if I'm getting like the foot tapping from by the leader, I would happily go off into like a side room or a corner or whatever, and sort of deep dive into all the stuff.
Yeah, I don't see
Okay.
the point in holding anything back. I mean, unless anybody else does.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be cagey with anything if you guys are comfortable here and aren't, didn't prep me beforehand to be like, hey, don't like do this or say that or whatever. No reason to keep anything if they're going to help us. So yeah, I'd tell them all of it.
Okay. You watch. Avandre just kind of sits there, fingers steepled, watching you very intently, Drost. It's almost unnerving. Like you've sat through giving like arcane lectures and things like that, and presentations where eyes have been on you. Avandre almost doesn't blink. That's how intense the stare is as they're listening to you recite everything that you discovered, uh, everything about this cult and what was going on in the facility involving soul magics and the hunger and the aspect and the mystics of Meridia. And when you get and you start talking about the red-robed mystics of Meridia, Avandre gets a little. That's the first moment you notice Avandre break eye contact with you and look away in thought. And they're still listening and processing as you continue going on and talking about getting to like the curse and things like that. And at the end of the tale, Avandre just kind of finally unsteeples their hands. Well, that. Well, that's no good at all. That's. Oh no. Oh no, indeed. They've gotten much farther than they should have in this. Oh, I guess it has been a couple of hundred years, but oh, someone must have taken an interest in them in the Empire. Interesting, interesting.
Someone like the Blade?
Oh, this would have had to have been well before the Blade's time. The Blade is just the new. Well, he's not necessarily a leader, but at the very least, the new hound on the leash. But I don't know of who would have taken that. This would have had to have happened a while back, probably when I left the Empire, and when I left the Mystics themselves. I don't know who would have taken my place after I left, though.
Oh, you're a mystic.
Huh.
Former. Let me be very
Former
clear about this.
mystic.
Former. The Mystics didn't used to serve, and looks at you, Finn, and then says, that individual that shall remain nameless for the moment. They didn't used to serve them. The Mystics used to be sort of a rebel group within the Order of Magi that was truly just dedicated to the free practice of magic. In the early days of the Empire, and magic was very well. I can see you're very studied. You're aware of the strictures that are typically applied to those studying magic and such. Uh, the Mystics believed in opening that up for all avenues and allowing anyone with any kind of appreciation for talent or even an inkling of talent to learn more about it in a free manner. So we were kind of the good guys at once, and I left back when they stopped being that. When they started taking more of an interest in politics and finding ways to achieve their goals outside of just recruitment and the secret practitioner of magic. When they started doing, well, not great things, I decided that was time for me to leave. And that was when I left the Mystics and actually left the Order as well. Um, that would have been, 200-ish years ago. It's been quite a while. Yeah, that would have been during the Age of Patriotism at the very least. So, say about 315 IE, somewhere around there. Time gets a little wobbly when you're my age. Um, so someone after that would have had to, someone in the Empire would have had to take an interest in them for them to be this well resourced and this far along in any kind of plan to bring about that one. Because from what I know, that one is very well sealed, with little chance of truly breaking free unless they've been working at freeing him for the last couple hundred years. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, that's quite a pickle. I think I need to check in with some old friends of mine that might be willing to give me some leads. Um, Before I go, Finn, dearie,
Hmm.
so is it just that specific word, or is it any word kind of directly mentioning or attached to that individual's full name?
I believe it's that one.
Okay. Do I have permission to cast a spell on you?
Uh, sure.
Okay. They come up and they put their hands on each side of your head, and they just kind of look at your eyes, direct eye contact, and you watch their eyes flash with white energy, and you feel, for a brief instant, a shocking pain in your brain, and then instant relief, like being flooded with serotonin. As they step back, Prince of Beasts, Demogorgon. You don't feel your brain spiking at the mention of it anymore.
Is that what you guys were saying? Those other
Yep.
times?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, good to see that worked. Eldath can be a bit of a stickler sometimes, and given what Demogorgon did to him back in the day, I don't necessarily disagree with him being uppity about hearing that name, but it makes it so much easier when you can actually participate in the conversation.
Yep.
What was that about?
They had
Oh,
beef.
I don't know how well versed you are in the Creation War, but Demogorgon was kind of one of the final bad guys, if you want to call them. Not really bad guys; they're all just on opposing sides of chaos and order. Eldath was kind of the leader of the sides of order. Demogorgon was the leader of the sides of chaos. They beefed quite a bit. With how Nolan ended up taking power, it kind of scattered Eldath to the wind, but that was also tied to some things Demogorgon was doing at the time. So, in kind of vengeance and retribution, Eldath made sure that what essence he had out there was thoroughly devoted to the destruction of Demogorgon. So, makes sense that anyone tied to that essence, looking directly at Eufin, would have some hang-ups about it. Not necessarily your hangups, but being tied to it, I imagine anytime you were hearing the word, Eldath was just getting a little tensy and clenching a little too hard.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So you should see that pain thoroughly alleviated. I didn't necessarily keep him out of you out of his clutches or anything like that. I just made sure there was a towel in between you and his hand. So you can now hear the word, and he will still clench, and it won't hurt you anymore.
That's good.
Yes. So, Drost, thank you so much for that. You have given me much, much, much to ponder. I have quite a few things I need to go do now, and none of which I know which order to do them. Interesting, interesting indeed. See me later. I don't know when the group is planning on leaving Krillaria, but you in particular, Drost, I'm very interested in having a discussion with, and potentially giving you some things you might find useful if you are the learned man that I think you appear to be. So, see me later. Ta-ta. They clap their hands and they disappear in another poof of dust as Torral at that point kind of coughs because some of it wafts over in his direction. God damn fucking wizards.
Yeah, we're the worst.
No, you're not. You guys are useful as all hell. It's just the eccentricities sometimes are a lot. I wouldn't trade Avandre for the world, but damn if they aren't just a little off in the head sometimes. And I don't think I've ever seen Avandre worked up into a tizzy like that.
I won't argue with that.
Yeah. Um, did you guys tell Avandre wouldn't have been as interested in it, but would you have told the entire part about meeting Ilrin and all of that and the conversation with the blades yet? Or were you just doing the Demogorgon stuff at that moment?
I
would
figured we
have
just dumped
recounted
it
the
all.
Demogorgon stuff. But
Yeah.
if you guys would have shared with the rest of it, then yeah, I
We
would
could
have.
say there was like a part two now that Avandre's gone, because Avandre wouldn't have too much to interest in this part.
Yeah, we would have spilled everything. At least I would have.
Okay. So yeah, you guys talk about meeting Ilrin, and at the first mention of Ilrin, uh, Torald just kind of like there's immediate shock because he knew about Ilrin, but he was always kind of aware that Ilrin was something that your mom didn't want to talk about. It's very plainly written on his face. There's no insight check needed, no deception on his part. He was not expecting you to mention her name of all things. And as you kind of talk about meeting her and uh, things that were happening on the way back, and then eventually meeting with the Blade, you see him kind of start tensing up a little bit and just kind of gripping the table a little tightly as he's listening to the tale, and then he gets to the offer to resurrect Terranora. And he kind of goes dead in the eyes a little bit as he's just kind of thinking, like 1,000-yard stare. So you guys would just have to kill this torch fella, and we get her back. No strings attached.
That's what we understand. I don't know if we should.
Well, I mean, the string is we have to wait. We have to leave him alone for 3 months.
Yeah. I also don't know if it's something we should do. I want to.
Sweetheart, so do I. I mean, all three of us were. We handled it in our own ways, but I'll admit, when we lost your mom, I wasn't the greatest dad after that happened. And it's been a long journey to get to where I am now, and I'm still very much I want to find a way to make it up to you guys for the time I've missed. But now all I'm thinking about is what I wouldn't give to try and get her back now. And I can't tell if he is just using that to play you guys or us and keep us from interfering with whatever shitty thing that he's trying to do. But there's a not insignificant part of me that says just do it. Get her back and then run like hell once we have her.
Maybe we better
Yeah.
let's see what Andre has to say about that. There might not be much to run to.
Yeah. That coin that he gave you, do you still have it on you?
No,
I
I
think
would have
it's.
I think we
thrown
left it
it
in
out
the.
over the mountains before we got to the base.
Oh, you just threw it over the mountains?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. As soon as like the gold was there, I just took it, tossed it, and like the plans appeared. I meant to say that I completely forgot, but no, I 100% would have walked to the side of the ship and plink, flicked it off.
We might he gets a description of the coin from you guys from that. He ends up sending a couple of rangers out into the mountains. We're not going to bring it into Krillaria because that just seems like a bad idea, but I do want to have Avandre take a look at that just to figure out if it's safe or anything like that. If we can use it to send things to him, for instance. So, because that would be useful, or if we can use it to track him in some capacity. But that's a thing I can throw on someone's plate. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I mean, I want her back. I don't know if the price that's being asked of is too much. I don't know if we can get away with it. And I don't know if I could live with myself if I said it's too high of a risk. He kind of hangs his head for a moment, and then he stares back at the both of you, trying to read what's going. What would you say is going through Taylor and Tyler's minds right now in regards to this offer?
I'm very obviously torn. But like he can also tell she really wants to do it. But there's also like a twinge of like, but should we kind of look to her.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what Taylor's feeling.
Not saying it's fair to put this decision on any one person, but I think the three of us might be a little too close to the situation to properly objectively think about this. Do you agree?
I sent a messenger to Ilrin, see what she has to say.
Something tells me your Aunt Ilrin's going to want her back even more than I do.
I guess we'll find out.
Did you tell her that Terranor only died because Ilrin was the target?
No, I didn't want to do that in a message.
That's fair. Ilrin would probably turn herself in and try to risk everything, try to make up for that if she found out.
Yeah.
It's not fair of me to ask this of you, and Toro looks at the other three of you, Drostin, and says, "Any of you got an opinion on it? Can't say I'm thinking clearly right now about the situation." Is it too much of a risk?
Well, I met up with this group as I was looking for a way to at least subvert, if not take revenge on the torch. But this Blade guy does not seem like someone that will go away very easily or should be trusted. So even if there aren't usually strings attached on something like magic like this, it sounds like, someone that likes to just have something to do might clearly wouldn't be above entertaining himself with making you guys go through a bunch of pain again. So I feel like Taz might have the best insight, but it's not my mother or wife that we're talking about.
It's a terrible thing to lose a mother and a terrible thing to lose a wife. But we do live in a world where this magic exists, and while there isn't strings attached, it's still a scary thing. I think it would be fine, personally, if we did it. As in, we allowed him to bring her back. But Torol's right. We should run. Because who knows what terrible thoughts, feelings, things that could happen to you all again. It's like going through it twice. You don't want to do that. It's a pain you don't want to experience again. The question is, can we trust him? Taylor thinks so. She read him very well. But there will be strings attached to his deal, regardless of what he says. He's throwing lots of money at us, and truth be told, I agree with a couple of you. I personally don't care for money, and when I get money, I hand it off. So that's mute for me. It's a moot point. But that's just my 2 cents. I can't say whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea. It's not my family member. That's for you all to decide. I just want to kill the bad people. And that's why I'm here. Sometimes you all can't protect yourselves, and I'm physically capable of doing so. So you point the way, and I'll swing.
Well said, Tallstone. Well said.
Thank you.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a fucking plan to me.
Suppose it gives us planets. I think we're going to hear about this subject. Yeah. If you guys want to stay here the night, obviously you're welcome to. You have your ship if you want to use that. Someone tells me Avandre is going to be a hot minute. Gave him quite a bit to look up from the sounds of it. Whatever you're playing with the gold, we can make use of it if you want to hand some over to us. If you're trying to get equipped for this torch hunt, You can go see Dexterian. Well, forges are probably shut down for the night, other than the night crew. But if you head there first thing in the morning, they can get started on whatever you're needing to get set up there. And yeah, I think most of us could probably use a good night's sleep after some weighty affairs like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for a walk, and yeah, we'll meet back in the morning, and we'll figure out a plan of attack. Oh, we got a tavern, by the way. Some enterprising gnomes that were displaced from their home in the Redwood made their way up here, and they opened up. It's quite literally a hole in the wall, and they're kind of leaning on it. The name of the tavern is called the Hole in the Wall, but it's got some seats and fairly good ale. If you guys want to have a drink there, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. I am gonna be there.
I don't blame you.
Same.
Yeah. Meet back in the morning. We'll circle up with Avandre, see where they're at.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
All right. And Toril kind of sits back at his table and just kind of staring at it and gets that 1,000-yard stare again. You can see whatever he's looking at on the map, it's definitely not what's actually running through his head in the slightest.
Yeah. I'll just exit.
All right. Where are you guys headed? You just heading for the bar? Are you heading for shit? What are you guys doing? You have free reign of Corellia. Dros, you're allowed to go anywhere you want as long as you're with one of them.
I probably just
We
follow
wanna-
this group.
Do we want to get coin first? Bring it?
I've got like walking around money. I figure we'll deal with that in the morning.
Alright. Bar it
Uh,
is?
How far is it back to the ship versus finding a local place to crash?
About a 5-10 minute walk, depending on how fast you go down through the tunnels.
Okay. So it can easily stay the ship side.
Yeah, if you want.
Okay. Then, yep, let's hit the bar.
Also, do we trust the
Yep.
crew to not touch that money?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
you guys
think so.
kind of instructed that the money was not to be touched, and Rulo specifically said on his honor, no one's going to touch that money.
Jerry's
Okay.
watching
Alright.
over it.
I mean, that is a lot of money, though.
You hear Jerry pipe up, I'm supposed to be watching the money as he's right next to you this entire time.
Jerry!
What?
Jerry!
What are you
Why?
Come to the bar?
Yeah.
Jerry, did you hear our whole plan?
There's what plan?
Oh, come on, Jerry. Let's go get some sour goat milk.
I heard the word bar,
Jerry-
and I'm just like, yeah.
Jerry, we gotta do
Like I
shots.
heard it from the ship. So,
Jerry, you're an alcoholic.
yep, that's me.
Fucking Jerry.
Jerry immediately walks. He doesn't even know where the bar is, but he ends up finding it just out of instinct, I guess.
We'll follow Jerry. He knows where to
He
go.
just smells it out.
Yeah, he can just sniff out the blood alcohol content.
We can always trust Jerry to find us a good place to drink.
He's part police dog, part
Or a bad
breathalyzer.
one. Good or bad, Jerry will find it.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys end up at the Hole in the Wall bar. It's quite literally run by a small little family of gnomes. The beer is pretty fucking good, actually. It's definitely like the gnomes are a little cagey on what's in the beer, but they say it's an old family recipe that they refuse to share, and it's why they immediately opened up another bar after theirs got burnt down. They know their craft. Like they're not willing to give up centuries of knowledge about beer at this point. So, but it's very good. You're seeing this late in the day. It's about like late evening. It's past evening. And this is going into nighttime. Any light from the skylight is now completely gone. This place is only lit up by torch and bioluminescent fungi. So, bit of an odd like glow vibe to it, but there's a good amount of people. But it's also like a weekday, so there's not a huge crowd yet. But you guys have a table to yourselves there at the bar. So
Nice.
Dory, something I meant to ask before.
Mhm.
So we're looking at like total payout as far as the blade offered to pay us and the crew and whatever, like just under 2 million gold,
just about,
or
yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
That
So every
is,
single one of you would get 250,000 gold.
mhm. So that's like, is there a way to is there a way to put that into perspective of like, I'm just curious, like,
I think Dross is the only
if
person
it,
who would have any actual concept of that amount of money because it's an unheard of amount for anyone that isn't directly from the kind of wealth and decadence of the Riverlands and near the capital. You haven't ever been to the capital, but you've been to Rindelia and Whitewater, like areas around there that there's a lot of old money in the Riverlands, and especially tied to like the Order of Magi. 250,000 gold would buy you a very nicely sized estate in one of the suburbs of the capital itself, along with staff fully paid through for at least a decade.
sure.
Cool.
And what is Drost's debt?
Drost,
Or
oh
the
yeah, the
I'm sure
amount
we
like
have it
his
somewhere.
student
It's not
loans.
that much, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not anywhere like that. Based on how far you got in your schooling and the fact that you didn't specifically go to like the capital or anything like that, your student loan cost that was covered by the Humboldts would have been about, say, about 10,000 gold.
Okay, so nothing even close.
Yeah,
All right,
like you could pay this off and still buy yourself a fucking mansion in
right.
Rendelia, like 4 stories. Like you could buy a small castle in any region other than the Riverlands. Actually, not even a small castle. You could buy a decent sized castle in anywhere but the Riverlands, for what you would have left over.
Sure. So I
course,
would just bring
You
up.
wouldn't have to defer your loans anymore.
Yeah, the Humboldts are just waiting until the end of the year when they can get them on it.
Yeah, as I'm really not drinking the beer, I'm just gonna bring up the fact that like I can't get over how I don't know how much money the Blade has access to, but he obviously wants us to take this deal really badly, and I just can't get that out of my head.
Hmm. Do we think that he really can't take out the torch himself? I don't believe
That
him.
that's my other thing too. Is like, would I have had a gauge of power between what I would have just witnessed the torch do and the blade, or is that not? I didn't not spend enough time.
You didn't quite, but there's a lot to be said about reading auras. Like you're fairly in tune with the arcane. Go ahead and roll me an Arcana check because you've been around both of them. You've definitely seen what the torch is capable of, and you've definitely you spent enough time in the aura, and you know about the reputation of the blade. You can make some conjecture based on it. So I'll give you a roll for it. 14. Uh, on a 14, when you were in the presence of the torch, there's something to be said for the sheer like arcane aura that's coming off of someone that dwarves can typically, with a bit of practice and like actually focusing in on it, you can hone in on what people like have access to magic fairly easily without having to necessarily avail yourself to a detect magic spell. It's one of those things that you were trained at the academy. Like You might not know how it's magical, but you can tell, yes, it is. Like the yes or no question, you're capable of doing. The torch had a pretty strong aura in every instance that you've seen him. You've definitely seen him wielding kind of immense powers and the level of destruction that is almost unheard of to you. The blade, though, the aura you got from the blade is not just immense arcane power, but some kind of eldritch entity attached to it. And the only other time you have had anything similar to that feeling was when you were looking with detect magic at the aura that was latched onto Finn while he was cursed. And while that was a very like negative feel to it, this one, the just kind of the pulsing aura that you felt off of that did not feel like it was probably negatively impacting him. If anything, it was amplifying him. You would say you're not sure to what degree the gap would be, but you're pretty confident the blade is probably stronger. But the blade would probably have to put in a good amount of resources to kill the torch if he truly wanted to. So it wouldn't be like a trivial jaunt for him. He would actually have to commit himself to the battle to do it.
Yeah.
Which lines up with what he was kind of saying. He
Mhm.
he admitted he's perfectly capable of doing it, but that's something he didn't really want to do because of the amount of effort it would take him. So he was instead just trying to co-opt you guys into doing it since
Yeah.
you were already going to do it anyway. Meaning more than likely that he can commit those resources elsewhere.
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense. Anyway, yeah, that's just my thought. Is seems like an over the top play, but not that we have to accept it.
Well, I mean, our other option is we figure out how to kill the blade ourselves.
Well, we've already got that information. Sounds like we've already got as much information as.
Yeah.
Oh, you said the blade or the torch?
No, the torch.
Kill the torch ourselves. Yeah, I mean we've already got. It sounds like as much as we're going to get out of the blade as far as help for the torch, especially with the down payment. So, yeah, I mean I guess this is just me dwelling, but probably just focus on the task at hand with the torch, and then figure out what to do about the blade. Something tells me that the circumstances are going to change between now and then, anyways.
So Tez likes Port Oman, right?
I like Port Oman.
What do you guys all think? Needs anybody else?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like that spot in the mountains is going to be super reliable, so we might be waiting there for a while, or we might just go up.
I like the idea of
Yes.
urban combat.
I was about to ask.
More
I also like
people
the
will
idea of
see.
urban combat.
Yes, indeed. And there won't be any of the trickery from the traps and whatnot involved. And as I mentioned, there'll be possibly others around. Maybe people will see us doing good. I understand that bad guys could see us as well, because you won't be alone, but it's also maybe the one place he would not expect it. Maybe
Out
he
in the
would
open?
expect us. Maybe he would expect us to come to his lair, or somewhere a little more private.
Do we want to give him the potential of threatening to kill an entire city?
It only takes us like 2 minutes to kill somebody. If we do it fast, he won't have the chance.
Yeah, we can just get the job done real quick.
I think his tower is probably the least appealing.
Agree.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't really want to mess with that shit. He knows the
I
ins and
mean,
outs of that place.
the spot in the desert, I mean, the tough part would be, can we catch all of his traps and disarm them?
Mhm.
Or is there some kind of like, tripwire that we're going to miss that lets him know we're there, and then he either like catches in a hole in the ground and barbecues us, or he just doesn't show up and we're just stuck there doing nothing. So
I wouldn't be much help there, unfortunately, but Drost is very magical. And we didn't have him before, so maybe he could help find traps.
Yeah, the magic traps, to me, I mean, there are ways of hiding magical auras, and I'm sure he would use them. So we need to have all of our abilities. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we can get what's her name to whip up something that would help see through even hidden suppressed magic of Andre. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely do my best.
Finn,
Who
Taylor,
knows? Maybe
Tyler.
there's a way to turn the tower against him.
Oh. Have any of you been to Portal Mall before?
Oh,
Then we would definitely be entering a situation where we're behind a bit, especially not knowing the city.
well, I mean, I'm sure somebody's been there. We can get info. So he's probably at this fort, right? Is the fort in the middle of the city, or is it like outside the city? Where is it located?
Drost, you're probably the only person that's actually been near Port Oman. You would have probably headed up the East Coast Road, uh, in your like either with the group initially that you were with, or
Hmm.
post that following rumors and things. The fort that was mentioned, Fort Ardent Hope, it's not actually in the city itself. Port Oman is a full imperial like provincial capital. They have their own Imperial Legion and everything stationed in the city. Fort Ardent Hope is actually stationed a couple miles down the road outside of the city, so along the East Coast Road, uh, just a ways down, giving them kind of space. It's set up kind of as a Legion station in case they ever need to launch attacks actually up into the Redwood Forest and the Verdant Bay Peninsula. So uh, it's kind of meant as a staging ground. Like large forces from other parts of the Empire can kind of converge to Port Oman, station at Ardent Hope, and then be relocated northwards along the road. So you've passed by the fort before. It's pretty big, but it's not like size of a city big or anything like that. Um, you wouldn't know, you weren't exactly paying attention to troop numbers or anything at the time, and
Hmm.
plus, with the conflict brewing up north, that would have been hard to gauge in general as well. So not a massive fort, but big enough that there's probably a good amount of people there at any given point.
Yeah, so we would need to, we would still need to somehow breach that
Yeah.
or
You think maybe
sneak
our
in.
friend in Corda might have some contacts in Port Oman that might have some info on that fort?
probably. I could probably get some.
If we could find a way inside that fort when he's going to be there, and then just, like I said, hopefully we're magic protected up, but we can sort that detail part of the plan out. But I mean, what's everybody else think? I mean, Tyler, Taylor, you guys lean towards any one of these three spots?
I'm with Tez, leaning toward the Portomon.
Yeah, the port sounds like the smarter option.
Plus the kill a shitload of Imperials option.
That too.
Yep, that's a good one.
It may not be the path of least resistance, but at least we won't explode by setting off a tripwire or something. And then
Well,
we'll all be dead.
everything around us isn't going to be against us. At either of those other two spots, we got to assume that, like, he's got that place, like, magicked up to shit.
Yes, indeed.
Well, now that we sort out that part of the plan, we can all get fucking wasted, go pass out.
That's the plan.
More sour goat's milk, please.
Oh,
Oh,
You guys are pretty effectively able to get as loaded as you want at this place.
I
For
actually
pretty much
wouldn't
dirt
hit it
cheap,
that
too.
hard.
Does Jerry behave himself?
Doubtful.
Go ahead and roll me a general charisma check to see how well of a hold you're able to keep on your retainer here.
All right.
I'm doing fucking shots with Jerry.
Oh,
Nice.
Jerry normally isn't ever on his best behavior. It's never been Jerry's forte to be on his best behavior. For the first time, Jerry, like, picking up that there's kind of a very particular mood going on here in the group, and how Tyler's wanting to do shots and things like that, but there's still kind of a vibe that he can't quite pick up on. Jerry doesn't take a single frickin' drink without looking to you, Tez, for approval.
Of course, Jerry. Have fun. Not
Okay.
too much fun, though.
Will do, sir. And then he'll go back to the bar and, like, it literally is every drink, like, he will make eye contact and just wait for a nod, and if he doesn't see the nod, he'll set the drink to the side for a moment.
I'd say there would be a few times where I just shake my head, like if Tyler's getting a little too crazy. I just look at Jerry and just go,
No, slow down. You can't always keep up with her.
That much bigger.
I don't know how true that is.
I kind of want to
Jerry
see who
probably-
would win in the drinking contest.
The two
You
of
know
them together
what?
just amplify.
Yeah, I think we should do some rolls.
Yeah, so Tyler, go ahead and make me a Constitution saving throw. Jerry's going to make one at disadvantage because he's focusing on Tez's reaction to everything and definitely isn't sure, like, if he should be drinking this amount or not.
Do you want me
Jerry
to do a
wouldn't-
con save too, or
No,
okay.
no, I'm gonna roll 2d20. Actually,
Okay.
yeah, you know what? Roll 2d20 for me. Jerry's gonna take the
Okay.
lower because of the disadvantage, but Jerry does have a +8 to this because he's an alcoholic.
Okay. Here's two
Like,
D20s.
And as any seasoned alcoholic can tell you, you get used to this shit real fast.
Uh-huh.
But a natural 11 isn't gonna do it. So,
Damn.
Jerry doesn't throw up because Jerry is a professional and would never do that. There is a point where Jerry, with that natural 20 that you have from earlier, Jerry recognizes finally where his limit is in this contest in particular, and he bows out and concedes that Tyler has beaten him for the night.
Yo.
Tyler, that doesn't happen very often. You're on your game tonight. Oh, poor Jerry.
I was like, this is fun, Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, we're having a good time. Yeah. I don't think that last one agreed with me though. We probably shouldn't have asked for soy sauce in it.
What makes it so salty?
Yeah, I don't
So
know. I don't know
good.
if I don't know if sugary drinks are supposed to have salt in them. That just seems weird to me.
Cuts the sugar, you know?
That sounds like some weird druid shit.
It is.
I knew it. I'm not a druid. I'm an alcoholic.
Oh, Jerry.
That's the profession. Yeah,
I mean-
yeah, man, you're a professional, you know?
I am. And even I know that you don't put soy sauce in a shot with Jaeger in it.
Oh, do you want to do mushrooms?
God,
He
what have we
immediately
done?
looks at Tez like, I don't know.
Did you just ask him to do shrooms?
Yeah, I did. I have so many drugs in my bag.
I'll look
I
at
for-
Jerry and
I forgot you're holding like everything in that thing.
She's
So
at the
many
dispensary.
drugs.
you actually do okay with shrooms, Jerry. Go ahead.
Hell yeah! Immediately grabs one and takes one. Does not look at what it is.
Let's see, what is it gonna be? Let's find out.
Yeah, I don't know what all you have in there. So,
Oh, I
Good
have a
time,
lot.
Jerry.
however many kinds you have, tell me, and I'll roll a die. I'll roll a dice for it. We're gonna see what.
All right.
'Cause
I only
know
have
gave you
one
shit.
labeled for tripping, but I do have 4 potions of groove.
Oh god,
So-
what did I do for the potions of groove? I don't think I have that written anywhere now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember what that does.
Hold on. Yeah, I gotta go back to. I think I gotta go back to my Marshtown notes. That's. Oh god, that's. Now we're dipping into the fucking archive here.
I also have 3 hits of crumb in my bag.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, I forgot you have that too.
Fucking, you have crumb. That stuff has not gone bad yet.
I
It
keep
was
it
bad when we got
pristine.
it.
Really saving that one for a rainy day.
I think that's the shit that made Rix's hands disappear.
Okay, here it is. I don't think Jerry would do the potion of groove, but he would definitely do one of the mushrooms.
All right, I do one of
So,
those.
there
I
were
do the potion.
Okay, I need you to make me a wisdom saving throw, DC 13.
All right.
Who?
Okay. Failed save on success. Okay. The good news is you don't fully lose your shit. You have a very, very comfortable high right now. Everything feels good. Everything feels groovy, man.
What a groovy man.
Yeah,
Groovy, man.
he's just Tyler is just feeling it right now. Tyler is feeling really good, especially given everything that he just had to deal with in this past 48 hours. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is probably the best you felt in 48 hours. So,
Yeah, it's like, this is why I saved this shit. All right. It looks like it's a blue mushroom.
okay, blue mushroom. There it is. It's gonna be, Tez, Zach. Why don't you go ahead and roll me a d20? It's still gonna be a +8 because it is a con save.
Okay.
So
D20. Not bad.
23. Okay. So he is high. Yep. He succeeded. So he did not automatically pass out from it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you look over at Tyler after you take your potion to groove and you're feeling really good. You look over and Jerry just has that like Cheech and Chong look on his face of like, yeah.
Yeah.
Doing good, Jerry.
And you two are just vibing. So
I'll
for
vibe
the
with Jerry
record,
the rest of the night.
not that it matters. Jerry has advantage on charisma checks right now.
Nice.
Oh, we need to go back to Marshtown.
All of those mushrooms did something.
Oh, I have so many more.
Yeah, they're all very risk reward, and now that you guys are higher level, the risk is probably fairly easily mitigated based on your die rolls.
I have
So-
4 blues of unknown and need ID, 1 gray unknown, 2 Marshtown green mushrooms, 1 red mushroom. I have so many mushrooms.
Damn.
You and I are gonna have to go over that list because you have more on that list than I have written down.
Yeah, we're gonna need
Started
it.
making shit up.
I
I'm gonna take
apparently did.
this and
I
this.
apparently did. Oh no, I think the guy had a like bin of stuff he hadn't sorted through yet, like the rejects. So he wasn't sure what they did or not, and I think that was what happened.
I was just like, fuck it. If I'm in a life or death situation, I'll just eat one and see what happens.
Yep. We'll have to sort through that at some point. So yeah, you and Jerry are full on 3 sheets to the wind, vibing for the rest of the night, though.
Excellent.
Is there anything else anyone is trying to do or accomplish before turning in for the night?
Not me.
I don't
Nope,
think
just
so.
getting drunk.
Okay. Taylor, why don't you roll me a Constitution saving throw as well, since our ranger friend here doesn't normally get super drunk.
This can only go wonderfully.
13. You eventually do hit like a ceiling where you're just like, if I have another drink, I'm gonna throw up. but you're able to recognize where that limit is, and you stop yourself. Although that ale is very tempting.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Anyone else? Or are you guys all turning in?
I'll turn in. I had a long night with Loki.
Who is still passed out, sleeping from a hangover on the ship, by the way. Loki apparently cannot hang that hard. At least not Jerry level hard.
I'm make sure that dude's still alive.
Well, is anyone going back to the ship to sleep, or are you guys just finding local quarters here in Kralaria?
I'll
I'm
go back
staying
to the ship.
I like it here. I'm gonna rest here. It's nice and cool.
I'm gonna not rest on the ship. Still don't have my sea legs.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I'm gonna fucking burn one on the walk back to the ship and fucking go crash there.
Okay. Are you crashing in just one of the bunks down in the hold, or are you going to the captain's quarters?
No, captain's quarters are Tyler, so I'll go to my normal spot.
Okay. You go down into there. You are able to actually see Loki is actually alive. Loki's just very tired, like very much fully gone to the like whatever Loki did that night again, like up against Jerry. He's probably never going to do again.
Damaged him. Hold a fucking
Yeah,
mirror under his
that's,
nostrils and make sure he's breathing.
Still breathing, just
Oof,
yeah, fully in recovery mode at this point. It isn't until you see this, like Loki's a big dude, and you'd expect him to be able to hang, like be able to take something. You now have a like odd appreciation for Jerry in this moment of like seeing what happens when someone who probably wasn't fully intending to goes toe to toe with that little gnome.
That's work, man. See, gnome, I thought it was a halfling.
He's a halfling.
Oh yeah, sorry, halfling, not gnome.
Jerry doesn't care. You can call him whatever you want.
Little folk. All right. As you guys all pass out for the night, Tez,
Oh,
you're
yes.
having a dream,
Oh,
and the dream starts almost like a memory. You open your eyes and you start looking around, and you're in a stone room, and this room is very similar to one you've been at one point in your life, immediately after the ritual.
oh.
And you start
Okay.
looking around, you see the stone carvings and pillars are all around you, all looking very similar. And you lift your head up and kind of sit up from where you're at. You start looking around. But the memories, it's not quite a memory. It's different. When this happened to you, looking around, there were bodies everywhere, red-robed bodies laying on the ground, char marks from where stray lightning bolts had gone flying around the chamber, damaging people. You look around, this room is immaculate, and you see up in kind of this almost like a viewing gallery surrounding this little part of the chamber you're in, red-robed individuals standing, chanting in a language you don't quite understand. And
Oh.
you kind of look over to your side, and you see a couple of these red-robed individuals approaching you, and one of them goes, "Prince Consort, the ritual was a success. It looks like the implementation of the aspect into you has fully integrated." How does Tez respond?
Do I feel like it's real?
This feels pretty
Or-
real to you. It's a very if this is a dream, this is a very vivid dream for you. Which it's not unheard of. You've had some fairly vivid dreams, especially about this moment, but this is the first time where it's not going the way it normally has.
Okay. Do I recognize the voice of who just
You do not.
spoke?
You do not.
Do I see faces? Do I just see the red robes and hoods?
You do not. You also
Okay.
don't recognize the term that they called you by, Prince Consort.
Prince Consort. Okay. Am I laying down, or am I just?
You're sitting up at this point.
Okay. I'll stand up and kind of move my shoulders around and look around the room.
Okay.
Prince Consort. That's me. You refer to me as that.
As you stand up, and first thing you notice as you stand up and you kind of roll your shoulders, kind of work out the kinks, you don't feel as tall as you normally do.
Oh.
And your shoulder doesn't feel as broad as it's still fairly like thick, like well muscled shoulders. And you can feel every muscle group as you kind of roll your shoulders a little bit. Still strong, just not as big and bulky as you normally are. And as you say that out loud, you feel your mind projecting that and trying to say that out loud, like that's the command you sent to your mouth. The voice you hear is not your voice, and it does not say any of those words. Instead, it says, "Good. It's about time one of these aspect rituals has gone successfully. Hopefully, I will embody the pride with as great a grace as it feels to have it in me." And you pass by this body that you're in. It starts walking forward with these mystics, and you pass by what looks to be a chamber lined with crystal. And as you pass by one of them, uh, the body that you're looking at directly, like you should be looking at yourself.
Uh-huh.
You don't see you. You see an individual in a red robe, uh, handsome, red hair, human, definitely imperial,
And that's
but
me.
and that is you.
Okay. So am I experiencing somebody else's memory?
As soon as you think
Or
that, the connection
yeah.
is cut, and you wake up with a start. And you look around, and you're in the one of the holes, like the common room area, places for people to sleep in here in Krillaria. You're in a small cave on a stone bed with some cushions, and you're not in that cave anymore. You're not wearing a red robe, and you're not a human with red hair anymore.
And they referred to me as what? The Prince Consortium?
Prince Consort.
Consort.
And the voice that
Okay.
came out was a very regal sounding voice, but not one you've ever heard before. And it's a title you haven't ever heard before either.
Regal but unfamiliar. Okay. I would save that for the morning. I don't think I'd wake anybody up.
Okay. The morning comes. All right, Finn is back. Good. Morning comes, and you all wake. Some of you relatively hungover, some of you less so, and you start getting your things together. Tyler, the pocket of your pants, as you kind of stand up and start getting your stuff together, there's something in there that wasn't there when you went to sleep last night.
I'll reach in and pull whatever it is out.
It looks to be a piece of paper wrapped around some kind of cylindrical object, very tightly with blue string. You can't see the object itself. Well, you can kind of peer inside from it's because it's almost like a scroll. You can peer inside, and it looks to just be this weird, like gray object that this piece of paper is wrapped around.
All right, I will unwrap it. Investigate.
Okay, you unwrap it, and piece of paper, very simple note in the middle of the page. The string that was wrapped around it is actually stapled into one of the bottom parts of the piece of paper, and it leads to what looks to be a dried out, desiccated finger that has several bits of crystal and gem kind of encrusted inside of it.
Okay.
And the note says, "An act of faith. Break it and speak her name."
Whoa.
I always
Oh.
hold up my bargains.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Oh. Oh my.
Oh shit. Okay. I'm gonna stare at it for a really long time.
Yep.
Said break it and speak her name.
Break it and speak her name. I always honor my bargains.
Alright.
What do you do?
Nothing yet. I'm probably just gonna stare at it until I either fall asleep or the morning comes, one of the two.
Oh no, this is in the morning. Like you were getting your
Oh,
things
okay, it's in the
together.
morning.
Yeah, you were getting your things together to go meet up with your friends, and just happened to like have that moment of like, there's something in my pocket that I don't remember being there when I went to sleep, and that was when you found the piece of paper with a literal string attached to an item.
I'm gonna go find my brother.
You find him; he's never far. Uh, Taylor, you see your sister approaching you, holding a piece of paper, a blue string attached to it, and wrapped around what looks to be a dried out finger with bits of gem in it.
The hell is that?
That's what I said. Look at this. I like pass him the note.
You pass him the note, and also the string is
Yeah,
still
and also
attached
the
to it.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. So because it's all one package, so you patch him or pass him the note with the string attached, and you read the same note.
Is this from the blade?
I think so. It was in my pocket this morning. I don't know what to do.
Is this for getting our mother back or what?
I think so. I don't know where she'd be, or if she'd be okay, or what happens.
I I I don't know.
Should we do it? Should we wait?
Uh, I don't want to do this right now because let's take it to Dad and see if he has any
Okay, we
information.
could.
Maybe they can look into it as well.
Okay, we
'Cause
could
I
all do
don't
it
fully
together
trust
too.
it.
Okay. She's gonna put it back in her pocket.
Okay, you wrap it back up, and you meet up with the rest of your group. Are you guys just booking it? Are you telling the group what you have before heading to Toral's?
Yeah, I'd be like, so I got a note and a thing from Blade this morning. I think it's to bring my mom back. I think it's to bring our mom back, but I don't know. I just like kind of like flashed the thing at it and then put it back in my pocket.
You know it has a literal string attached, right?
Yeah, that's I'm really concerned about it.
I mean, there may not be a whole lot we can do about this thing. I mean, him making us this deal may have just been an off ramp to just politely telling us that he could kill us if he wanted to. He's just choosing not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for someone who doesn't give a, self-professed doesn't give a shit about anything, he's picking something very specific to give a shit about.
I'm not gonna do anything with it yet. I'm gonna wait until we can do some more research on it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Drost, if you wouldn't mind helping me with that at some point.
Anytime. Yeah, I mean, I
Cool.
don't. They might have the resources here to um, at least explore a little bit of it. What might happen if we
I'm sure the
utilize it?
super wizard guy can help figure it out too. He can tell if it's on the up and up.
I'd hate to
Yeah.
take away from this moment, but I think it's important for me to tell you all that I did have an interesting dream last night. If you'd like for me to tell you about it.
I'm always a fan of
I'm-
hearing dreams.
Well, it was a bit confusing. You see, it was almost like a memory. It wasn't me in the dream, but rather someone else. I was in a stone room surrounded by figures in red robes. Well, they entered as I awoke, and they referred to me as the Prince Consort. It appeared that I was a human with red hair. I sounded noble, maybe regal. I didn't sound like a great person, but as soon as I realized what was happening, I awoke with a start. I don't know what it means.
Well, the prince is hard to ignore.
Yeah, specifically for Drost, and I'm going to say specifically for Finn as well, because Finn lived in Hilltown and would have had at least exposure to hearing about imperial politics and things like that, especially in the remote, you guys' most recent trip to Hilltown. The Prince Consort is a title that's been used a couple times in history, but more recently it's been used by the current one of the current leaders of the Empire. The Empire is officially headed by Empress Liliana, uh, who has a husband who's known as Prince Consort Charles Malor, a man who's known to be of the prestigious Malor family, based in the city of Meridia, and who is known for his dashing good looks and brilliant red hair. More recently, it was announced that he was a part of the project of the light rail going from the capital to Hilltown, that was able to get people from those two cities in about an hour.
That's something that was powered by those green crystals.
That you do not know. They did not investigate those. They didn't investigate the light rail when they heard the rumors of it in Hilltown, and you would have heard rumors of it in Port Oman, and around that time too, because it was a pretty big deal. Like, that's stupid fast travel. That's a trip that on horseback will still take you like 3 days. So being able to get just about halfway across the empire in an hour was a huge trip. So you're not sure of the power source on it though, but you've definitely
Orphans.
heard the name and seen and know it's attached to someone with that description.
Wasn't Evandre just talking about didn't not knowing who gave the mystics their power or their taking interest in them and needing and being having to be more powerful than the blade? We might have found I don't know what your connection is, Tez, but if that was something that actually happened, that might be a connection.
I have a feeling. I know maybe why I'm having these dreams, and I can tell you briefly why I think it. Before I came to the mainland, and this is a quick and short of it, I convinced a group of elders to perform a ritual on me that was more of a mix of ancient techniques and more modern ones. It did not go well. I say this with the important part of those that perform this ritual. They wore these red robes. I've seen them before, and I recognized them whenever we were in the compound the other day. Maybe I have a connection because of this, but the magic that was supposed to fuse to me was not exactly as controlled as what they had hoped. And nobody died, but it got a little out of control. But I don't think there's anything beyond that. I think maybe that's just the connection and maybe explains why these visions or memories are being channeled through me.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, if your power was, or if your magic was given to you by the mystics, then maybe some of their energy or memories or whatever are still connected.
This could prove to be a valuable tool. But I don't seem to have much control over it. I'll continue to let you all know when things happen. I have a hard time interpreting these dreams.
Dreams are weird.
Mm. Yeah.
With that, do you guys continue heading towards Torol?
Yep.
Okay. Torol, you see, he's already in his command tent. Doesn't look like he rested a whole lot. He's got some bags under his eyes that were not there last night, but doing his duty, talking with a couple folk. Specifically, he's talking with Avandre, who's already there in the tent, whispering in a kind of hushed tone. And they both see you walk in. Oh, good morning. Hope everyone was able to rest well, despite everything. Avandre has been doing a little bit of digging and still waiting to hear back from your contacts, he said. Avandre's just like, yes, well, we're those of us who got out of the Mystics when we did have been kind of a secret sort lately, so it's taking me a bit to get back to them, but I put the feelers out without anyone being able to trace it back to me, so that's in the works. That's all I have at the moment. I still need to do a little more research and whatnot, but was just kind of
Oh.
doing a check-in. How are you all doing?
Well, we got something for you.
Oh?
Tez, tell him about your dream.
Oh, I had a dream.
Oh,
I
do
woke-
tell.
Do you want me to tell the dream, or do you want me to just say I tell him the dream?
If you just want to say I tell the dream.
I tell him the dream.
Okay, yeah. You tell him the dream, everything that you're able to remember, and he just, like, almost immediately is just finger steepled again, like, oh. So, question: this room that in your dream that you woke up in, was it very similar to the one that you were in your actual memory? What happened to you?
Well, I could be mistaken, but it was almost exactly identical to the point where it was hard to tell the difference.
Interesting, interesting. So a ritual that's based on surroundings. Interesting. I do think you're right. I do think you are tied to this. I think what they
Oh,
tried to do, specifically, there's one thing that keeps coming back to mind with what you talked about yesterday, Drost, and with what you're saying about the aspect of pride. I do believe that ritual that your elders tried to perform on you, or they put in quotes, elders,
oh,
the
yeah.
the ritual that you underwent, Tez, I think it was the exact same ritual that our apparent prince consort just underwent, albeit changed to be more successful. And I think, from the sounds of it, unfortunately, that may have been a ritual to implant the aspect of pride of Demogorgon within them. I think, from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like anything worked when it happened to you. Like, you now have a weird arcane power, and I love that about you. It's wonderful. But I'm betting you have that because the ritual was not a success. It didn't take you over. You're still you. So something went wrong. And then they've spent a couple years perfecting the practice. And obviously they've tried to do it in other places with that facility. But it sounds like they might have finally gotten their shit together.
This sounds like it probably makes sense. Whenever
And
it happened to
person
me,
did it to.
I I knew that there were risks, and to be quite frank, I kind of forced them to do it. I do that sometimes. I'm very big and scary.
Tez, I 100% agree. You are big and scary. I, under no circumstances, believe that you forced them to do it. I think that you played into their hands.
You think? What are you
I,
saying? Are you saying
I
they tricked
think
me?
I think that whoever these elders were that you went to have this ritual done and thought you forced them to do it, I think they were waiting for someone to do the ritual on, and you happened to be the person presented to them.
That's not fair.
I'm not. Life is not fair, unfortunately, Tez, and I'm sorry that they did that to you. But at the same time, I'm also very happy that it didn't actually work in the way it was supposed to. Could you imagine being enslaved to that thing, Demogorgon?
No.
Exactly. Would you want to be?
No.
Hell no, you do not.
No,
So
I
I'm happy
don't.
I'm happy things have gone the way they have because it means we get you. And he walks over and grips your cheek a little bit and gives a little hug. We get you the way you are, and I wouldn't have that any other way.
You have a good point. I like you.
Well, I like you too, Tess, darling. But that is a problem that the Prince Consort is now the aspect of pride of Demogorgon. That that is a problem. Well, things are going to have to change then. Things are definitely going to have to change. I'm going to. Toro, I know we had the plan to get the major cities on board before we went and approached the Northern Territories. I think we need to accelerate that a little bit. And I think I'll have to use my name to do it. I know we talked about not doing that, and Toro says, if you think it's necessary after hearing this information, I'll back you on it. If you think they'll listen because of your name, you have our support and whatever they need, go for it. Mondrian goes, okay, good. I'll have to reach out to them via some different methods as well, but I think I should be able to get a hold of them. Right. I'm gonna go do that. All of you come see me later. I have some goodies for you, and I still need to talk to you about stuffed roast, but I also still have many things to do. Just wanted to do a quick check-in. Thank you so much. That is a lot. I'm glad you're okay, though, Tez. I'm very
I'm
glad you're
okay.
okay.
Before you
Thank you.
disappear,
Yep, sorry, what?
we have one more thing that we
Oh!
want to run by and
Do tell. I love things to run by.
and
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, you're carrying it, so
Yeah. I guess kind of like take it out of my pocket, and I don't hand it over. I just like show them.
Oh. Well, that's a interesting looking finger you have there.
It
Is it
is.
yours?
Apparently, it was in my pocket this morning.
Well, you still have all 10 fingers attached, so I guess where did you get it?
I believe it's some sort of resurrection
Came with a note.
item. Yeah.
Let me may I, please?
Yeah.
Avandre takes the note and the string attached to the finger and looks at it. Their eyes flash white for a second. Oh my, okay.
I don't think
Okay.
I just picked it up in my
No, you definitely did not. Toril, take us to Red Alert because someone somehow got through every arcane defense I have.
Oh, great.
And I don't know how this got through. I'll have to have.
Did
we're
I
gonna have to
fuck
have
everything up just now?
No, darling. You didn't do anything wrong whatsoever. This is not on you. I'm guessing this came from the individual you talked about a bit yesterday.
Yeah,
We're assuming.
Okay.
I think so.
That's a problem because that means that he knows how to get through he has some method of conveying items, if not himself, through my arcane, specifically my arcane defenses. I had no alarms go off last night anywhere. I had no notifications that any spells transmitting or transporting anything within Krillaria or without Krillaria into it go off. So this is a problem, but
Great.
that's a problem that will have to be investigated. Yeah, Toro, you might take us to Red Alert and have just some extra pickets to do some rounds and make sure that no one's lurking about that shouldn't be. If it's any consolation, the finger itself is actually what it appears to be. It's well, originally it was just a finger, creepy, desiccated, with about 25,000 gold worth of gems and holy water infused into it. And then, if you see these little rune markings on here, those are for the true resurrection spell. So this item is about as much of a fortune as you're ever going to get. It is the real thing.
Huh.
So, if this is whatever he gave you this for, he apparently meant to give it to you. I can't see anything other than the spell on it. It does have me concerned, obviously, because I didn't sense him drop this off in any way, shape, or form. So that's concerning. But I'm pretty confident that this has only that spell imbued on it. So it is the real thing.
Okay. I was a little
And
worried that it wasn't,
yes, well, that is not the part that needs to be worried about. It is the real thing, though, and they put it on the table with the note. Finn and Taylor. I'm going to say not Tyler. Tyler, you're kind of focusing in a little too much on the finger at this moment. Taylor and Finn, though. You two, Torral hasn't taken his eyes off that finger since it's been revealed.
Do I notice Tyler noticing?
You would notice Tyler not noticing that. Taylor is the only one that.
Oh. I'll look at Taylor then.
Yeah, Taylor, you clocked that your dad, after it was revealed what that was and the note, your dad's honed in on it.
Do you know the finger, Dad?
No. Doesn't look from, I mean, whatever happened to it's been forever. I mean, she was intact, like holy. We buried her. And it hasn't been long enough that everything would have decomposed, but I don't think this is her finger. I think this is just, it sounds like a spell component. Vondre just nods their head. Indeed, it is not, it is more than likely not her finger. It would just be a finger meant to take the runes for the spell with a bit of necromantic energy tied to it, as well as the crystal and holy water infused into it. So it is just a simple means of communication for the spell. Toril just kind of like, so all we do is just break that finger, say her name, and she's back.
Yeah.
I believe so.
I'm going to roll a wisdom saving throw for Toril.
Yeah, I
I'm
had a
going to
feeling
roll
that
this.
was coming.
I'm going to roll this in front of everyone because it's going to be a little obvious if he tries to do anything here. He has a +4 to this roll.
Mm.
17. He stares at it. And his hand creeps a little closer towards it. Does anyone make a move to stop him?
Oh, if I see
Yeah.
him moving towards it, I'll move myself in between him and Avandre. Because he still has it, right? Or did he give it back to Tyler?
Avandre set
Did
it
they give
on
it back
the
to Tyler?
table right next to where he and Toral are. So it's a little bit of a reach for Toral, but it's closer to them than it would be you immediately.
Oh, I would go just pick it up and hand it back to Tyler. As soon as I saw him staring at it, if it was laying out on a desk, I would just move to the desk and pick it up and hand it to Tyler.
I need you to roll me an initiative check or initiative for me because he's going to make a move for it. DC was 18. Where is his character sheet?
I beat his 18.
No, sorry, the DC for the wisdom check that he made earlier was 18. But a natural 18 plus 6 is going to barely beat you out for it. Avandre's right there. Avandre's going to make a roll too, just to see. Lower roll, plus 3.
I feel like if I saw him going for it, I would also be like, no.
Initiative, then.
Yeah, I would try and snatch it if I could.
Well, I think
with like a
it was
mage
just
hand
the
or
two of
something.
us, right? It was just me and Taylor that saw him, right?
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. No.
Oh, true.
Tyler doesn't get to roll on that. Yeah.
I'm probably also staring at it, to be fair.
Yeah. You're staring at it, but you're not clocking anyone else's
Yeah.
reaction at this point. Like, you are.
Yeah, 100%.
The fact that this has shown up has you shaken in the same way it has your father shaken, but you're focusing more on the thing instead of his reaction to the thing. So
Yeah.
15 for Taylor. Okay. His 24 is still going to beat it.
Would I
Yeah.
be able, if it's not something that I am noticing, then I wouldn't be able to use any of my altering rolls.
What is your passive perception?
Mine? Oh, not good. Not. It's shit. Where is 13?
I would have needed a nat 20 to beat him.
You wouldn't, yeah. Yeah, Drost, you wouldn't have clocked this.
Oh,
you
yeah,
would have
true.
the option to do a reaction when he goes and does something on his turn. Now, I'm going to describe what's about to happen here because he did win the initiative check. He immediately lunges for it. Avandre tries to get in the way. Finn, like a bunch of you try to stop him, but he's just a little too fast. Taylor, your father is quick. Like, he was a damned good Imperial Ranger, and you do not get to be a good Ranger without having skills.
Fast hands.
Very fast hands. You have to have fast hands for doing lightning fast volleys.
Uh-huh.
And the last time you've seen him do a movement this quick where he reaches and grabs the finger was when you've last seen him at the arrows, at the butts, firing arrows just as fast as possible from volley stance. He grabs that finger, and he looks at it, and he goes to activate it. I'm going to say this because it needs to be said. Activating this spell, the way it's encoded into this object, bypasses the hour casting time of True Resurrection. It is just an action to activate the spell in the object. But it is still the act of casting a spell, and therefore can be counterspelled should anyone choose to do that. I'm not suggesting anyone should. I'm stating it because I know people have access to that spell. So I'm going to ask, as he goes to cast the spell, breaking the finger, does anyone stop him? Or attempt to stop him?
I mean, just a quick question, just character information, more like player information. Would counterspell, if would be used, would that actually like destroy the spell if it succeeded?
So yeah, this is essentially a 9th level spell scroll that's set up as a finger. If it was successfully counterspelled, the spell would be lost.
Okay. I mean, I don't have counterspell anyway. I'm just curious if it would actually destroy the spell. So
Yep.
there's
I'm
nothing I would do, honestly.
good checking out because it's good to remind those that do have counterspell that is what's at stake here.
That's what I wanted to make sure of, because I wasn't sure, because if I kind of wanted somebody to do it, but then I'm thinking like, wait, doesn't that destroy the spell? And yeah,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna let it happen.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Counterspell.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have intentionally prepared counterspell. I mean, if we were planning on going out to like case this guy's place today, I would have probably prepared all of my anti-magic, dispel magic, detect magic, stuff like that. But if we hadn't gotten that far, then I don't think I would have had counterspell prepared.
Well, sounds like it's just me then. I would not have counterspelled.
Okay.
Yes,
Avandre
yes.
is there too. And Avandre, just in that split second of seeing his good friend grab that finger and the look in Toral's eye, is not going to counterspell either, regardless of what happens. So, with an
Yeah,
initiative of 24, Toral grabs the finger, looks at you all, breaks it in his hand, and says, Terranora Redfire. The finger and the gem and the holy water that was infused into it all crumble to dust in his hand, and they begin to swirl around him. I'm going to make a roll here, and I'm not going to explain what for just yet. Okay, 42. I'm going to note that down. You watch as the dust spins and spins and spins, and it moves away from his hand and moves to a space immediately adjacent to him, and begins to start building a person. And it starts at the feet, slowly moving up, entirely made of sand, of this like dark, mossy brown earth. Slender legs, what looks to be some kind of druid trappings on hips, up torso, slender elven arms, and eventually to a face that all of you now recognize because you all recently saw someone with the exact same face. The swirling dust stops, and the earth solidifies and almost seems to transmute into flesh. Not normal pale or tanned flesh that you might have seen, but the flesh very similar to what Ilrin has, of this elven but colored, almost with bits of red and springtime light and energy to it. Very vibrant colors across the skin and hair. And the softest eyes, softer even than Ilrin's. And as this form suddenly comes to consciousness, and then falls to the ground, passing out. And that is where we're going to leave off for the night.
Corey!
I saw that
I didn't.
coming.
I didn't even think we'd get that. I thought we were gonna break the finger, and it's like that's it.
I thought
Yeah,
that too,
same,
honestly. But
No,
this build up was
had to give
better.
you something. I had to give you something.
I like it.
All right, I'm going to
Nice.
end the recording here. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll pick this up next time. Jesus Christ. All right.
I literally
Take care.
muted myself and I was like, why did they put it on the table?
Oh man.